We've arrived, somehow, through rain, sleet, and snow. We have made our way here to you tonight in the Guild Superior Twitch. Here we are, ready to rock and roll. Let's not waste any more time. Thank you for your patience. If you've been waiting for us, we appreciate it. We had to hide the bodies, but now the bodies are hidden, and we're good to go. I have players with me here tonight playing Shadesong, the Wreckage of Stars. I'd like you to meet them so that we can start playing. Here they are. Look how beautiful their faces are. They look so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and, well, the terrible things that are about to happen to them will strip that innocence away from them.
Right.
I'm kidding. We're just going to have a picnic tonight. We're going to RP having a picnic. How's that?
Oh, cool.
Yay.
Yay.
Food episode.
Food episode. That's exactly what we're doing. How's
Food
everybody
shopping
doing?
for the wine and cheese.
That's right.
I'm scared
Good,
now.
good.
Like some
good.
wine with your cheese. Everybody doing all right?
Yeah, last episode was supposed to be the chill, sit and have a pub dinner episode, and look how that turned out. So
Yeah, you've obviously never played with me before.
I know. Now I have. Now I've learned.
Now you know, and knowing, as they say, is half the battle. Thank you all for joining us tonight on episode 2 of the Wreckage of Stars. I would like to give my players a chance to introduce themselves right now, and we will begin with the one, the only, Miko. Miko, how you doing?
Hello there. I am doing pretty well, actually. It's been a nice week. Looking forward to the weekend. Hi, I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM. I produce things, make things, play things, GM things, all the things. You should hit me up on the Discords and the Twitters and such. Links will probably be ending up in the chat here at some point for you to do all that. Yeah. Really excited for tonight. Can't wait to get back into the action. I will be playing Dara, by the way, Stormcaller Dverg, and probably the crassest one of the party, or at least I'm pretty sure my swear word count doubled everyone else's last week.
So
the reason it's got demonetized.
Exactly. As long as we're not in violation of the TOS, we're good. You know. Like we're making money anyway, so demonetize.
I guess I'm gone. My face is here, so that's enough of a
TOS violation.
Yeah.
Speaking of TOS violations, Adrian, how's it going?
What a great segue. I love it. Thank you. Thanks for that transition. My name is Adrian. Good evening, everybody. Actor, producer, tabletop, role-play gamer, DM. Forever DM, but I've been playing a lot more on this stream. You can always find me here because they've always suckered me into playing with them, which I'm enjoying my butt off, and I'm so grateful to be with you all tonight and be playing with all these wonderful, talented players. You can find me on the socials at @SlySparrow on PlayStation Network and Discord and Instagram, all of them. Just look me up and we'll get chatting, we'll get talking. My character today is the mentalist Zenish monk Idolo Jambi, who's the 14th of his name, that has been traveling looking for the mysteries of the monolith and trying to find answers to them, and just happens to find himself in a whole lot of trouble and situations that he just kind of looks around and wonders how he got here every single day. But that's part of the adventure. Looking forward to seeing where tonight leads us.
You and I know he probably got here by floating, but
of course,
that's for other people to discover later on. Always a pleasure to have you, Adrian. Thank you so much for being here with us. And then speaking of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, fresh-faced, the new kid on the block. Look at that smile. A smile that could light up Broadway and Hollywood all in one shot. Hey, how you doing, Olo?
You know what a rictus grin looks like. Hi, everyone. My name's Ola Clark. I'm an actor, GTRPG person, and creative director over at Escape Plan Games, where we publish TTRPG content and books. I will be playing Amloth, the Wildren Bard, tonight, who came on this trip to record the story and has now found himself part of it. So how we'll deal with that remains to be seen, but excited and terrified in equal measure.
You should start doing a lot of drugs, and then you could be the Hunter S. Thompson of Shadesong.
That's a hell of a 5-episode arc to go through, but let's see if we can get there.
Don't worry.
We're in backcountry.
We're in backcountry.
I am. Thank you so much, Olo, for being here. Super appreciate you. You were amazing last time, and I look forward to seeing what happens today with your fantastically accented character. I am the Bleakseason. You can find me online on Twitter, so on and so forth. At the Bleakseason, you can check out bleakseason.com for information about Shadesong, my homebrew world. We are using the Dragonbane system. And I just totally said all of that in the wrong order that I told my producer, Andy, earlier, so he's probably freaking out. So I'm going to start back at the top of where I'm supposed to be and say that Andy is my producer. Thank you so much, Andy, for being here, sorting things out, pushing some buttons, getting things going. We also are using Tabletop Audio's music tonight, as with every night. Fantastic source of sounds for your games, your TTRPGs, or streams. You can get a lot of it for free also on their website if you want, or you can be members of their Patreon, as we are, and get even more different versions of their songs. Always awesome stuff. We actually will not, Andy, be using animated dungeon maps tonight, just because I made all the maps for tonight. And man, this is going super well already. The Shadesong logo was designed by Mr. Creep himself, who creeps around and hangs behind the creepiest of creeps, Creep Show, Darling Creep Show. I'd like to give a shout out to Guild Superior people, everyone hanging out in our Discord, in our games, getting roped like these poor suckers here into all sorts of sanity-threatening scenarios and so on and so forth in our games. If you're interested in hanging out, perhaps participating in some game, please come and join us. We'd love to have you. Always looking for new people. Always got games going on. And I think that's it. Dragonbane. I shouted out Dragonbane. We're using Dragonbane system. Buy Free League because, you know, we love the Free League. And that's it. That's all. Let's get started.
Nat 20s are bad. Nat 20s are bad.
Yes,
and it messes
Nat 20s
with you.
are bad, and Nat 1s are good. Nat 20s are called demons. Nat 1s are called dragons, and they're good. All right, thank you for hanging out. Sorry, that was kind of all over the place, but you know, sometimes you do the crack, and sometimes the crack does you. All right, so when last we hung out here in the Cadeval Islands, the lot of you had come together, some by design, some by happenstance, and arrived in the small town of Kinnacree. Basically, all of you, for one reason or another, being here for reasons tied to these strange monoliths, which are dispersed throughout the Highlands and are playing havoc with the elements and causing all sorts of weird storms called shatter storms. The king has had enough, and even the Wildren of the South, who are starting to feel the effects of that, have sent some people over. Unfortunately, one of their envoys, the Ranger Offid, unfortunately died last night, his last game, as you were surprised in the middle of the night by a ginormous shatter storm, which brought fire, wind, hail, and all sorts of things to the village, but also a Leshen, which is a spirit of nature that had basically been crazed because this storm had sort of gone through its lair and set it on fire, and it had stumbled into town, and in its madness and pain had gotten to a fight with you guys, and you managed to lay it low, but not before Offid, unfortunately, was broken. Before dying, Offid gave Amloth a bag and a bunch of other things that you got, and well, you're free to do with that as you wish. We can probably talk about that in a little bit, but besides that, time has gone by a little bit. The village has come together, managed to put out the fires. As I was saying earlier, about a quarter of the village has sort of been impacted by the fire. The storm has relented now, and there's only a bit of a slight drizzle that's coming down. None of it anymore setting things on fire, which is good. But you have spent the last few hours helping the people of the village sort of put out the fires, gather the wounded, or unfortunately a few deceased. You've amassed the bodies and brought them into a cold chamber, as the Dvergs have funeral rites that last a few days, and so the bodies will have to be prepared and observed. But now, as the sun is starting to rise on the horizon, very tired, very dirty, very wet, very scorched, very everything. You probably have mud down the back of your shirts because of that storm and so on and so forth. You finally find a little bit of peacetime as the village has sort of calmed down now. Most of the people have been sort of squared away, the children and most of the other people being able to go and get a little bit of rest while some of the others finish clearing up the mess, and knowing that you have a long trip ahead of you. The sage, Morak, who has returned on the heels of the storm, has basically advised you to go and get a little bit of rest, at least for a few hours before you set off, and said that she will take care of things and keep an eye out on the village. So before you go and get some rest, or perhaps you just want to go and get some rest, is there anything that you would like to do before you turn in for the few hours of sleep that you can manage? Anybody? First come, first serve.
I would like to, once the immediate dangers have settled and those who can be made safe are made safe, I think Amloth takes advantage of things going a bit quieter to carry Offred's body quietly a few, not far, sort of 20, 30 feet into the nearest patch of woods, and mercifully, with how much it's been raining, take not too long to dig a suitable sized grave amongst the roots of a tree. Wildren don't care too much for bodily funerals. Once the soul has left, it's gone. So I'd like to bury Offred among the roots of a tree and make sure that's all closed off, and then sit with my back to the tree, and Amleth pulls a small note, a letter out from the side of the pack that he was told about by Offred, and with muddy fingers just sits for a while and reads what is written there, before taking Offred's armor, his bow, and his pack, and heading back into town to try and maybe grab some breakfast.
As you spend some time thinking on this and reading the letter and so on and so forth, you sort of get a sense of, I don't want to say like you feel like, a last sort of momentary impression from his spirit or anything like that, but you kind of suddenly feel a little bit of the weight of this mission, which wasn't yours to begin with, but now has sort of been settled on your shoulders. But also now, I guess, having seen the impacts of the shatter storms and what it's done, perhaps realizing that there is something quite threatening at work. There's something quite heavy at work, and whether or not your character overly believes in spirits or the afterlife, however, that is yours to decide. You kind of feel a little bit of a little breeze, perhaps, that comes through, and that just for a moment sort of brings you a little comfort, as if Offred himself was there saying that he believes that you can do this and that you can carry this through, and so there's at least that last little moment, perhaps, that might bring your heart a little bit of strength there before you retire. But you certainly feel that weight sort of settling on you now. So we'll see how you deal with that. That's probably how the drug taking starts. But you feel that weight settling in. There's definitely, that old cliche of the storm on the horizon. There's like a something massive on the horizon, and you definitely get a sense that there's something momentous sort of at work more than just a question of a few storms and things of that nature. So. And then you will retire, get a bit of...
For as much rest as I can get, yeah.
All right. What about Dara or Adolo?
Yeah, Dara is, this is not an unfamiliar scene for him in helping deal with the aftermath of shatter storms in the village. So I think his most predominant task is going to be like going around the village and assisting directly with people, showing the strength of the Stormcallers and trying to be, his stoic self and offering up aid wherever he possibly can. And as he moves from person to person, offering, this aid, I think he focuses most on the individuals that are going to be the ones that the village relies upon in the coming days, because this is not a simple thing to recover from, right? So it's he of course has to leave, so he's trying to make sure that the people that the village needs in the recovery period are going to have the strength to actually get through that. So every now and then he'll pull a Deverg off to the side and kind of talk them up and tell them about what's going to happen next and prepare them and that sort of thing, and making sure that there's more than a few of those people ready, or preparing more than a few of those people so that they are ready for the next few days.
One of the things about the Dverg is that they are excessively hardy and they are used to these kinds of things. And though this storm was obviously one of the very big ones, one of the worst that you'd seen, they tend to take things in stride a lot. And while you can clearly see a lot of worry on their brow, they are aware that it's getting worse. There's something else that's sort of playing, and that might affect you. They're as stoic as always, as just kind of getting on with it and taking care of things. So you do know that while they are worried, you do feel confident that they will sort of take themselves in hand and will be okay. So your heart's not too burdened as you prepare to leave to go on this important mission that you have before you. Anything else you want to do before you go to bed, or will that be it?
Just checking in on Atlan, making sure he's okay.
He seems, your brother seems very affected by the fact that he was, for a very short time, possessed by the Leshen and attacked you and actually stabbed you. And while, perhaps he tries to kind of make light of it, you can see that it's affected him and it's staying with him. So it'll probably take a little bit of time for him to deal with that. He's a little quiet, but he does his part and helps also. And I'll tell you that he's okay. He just needs to get a little bit of rest. All right.
Idolo will be sitting amidst the repairs by the well, on the side of the well, kind of cross-legged. And instead of actively seeking to help and going out and following people and helping them, repair their barns and their homes, he will stay still and let things come as they may towards him. He's going to start to meditate. One of the challenges of being who he is because of the namesake is someone has somewhat renown. One of the challenges he faces is ego, and knowing that it is not about him or who he is. So he will meditate by the well, listening to the water. And since he is a mentalist, he's going to be using some of his willpower to hear the surface thoughts of people who are walking by. And as if, like the wind itself, he will mutter responses to what he says, to what he hears, like, "No, it is not your fault. Be strong." Things that, like, he's actively looking for what people need to hear, not necessarily the truth. And will just kind of sit at the well, and actually he'll probably stay there all until the morning. He won't even return to his room.
Okay. You do find, and I assume that you do this in a way that is very subtle, and so people don't just sort of jump out of their skins.
Right. It's not a carnival act. It's more of a subtle thing.
Excellent. And as people go by, and the more you manage to talk to some of the people and whatnot, you will certainly feel like it's having a bit of an impact. As when you do that, people appear to get a bit of spring in their step, or appear to people who were look like they were about to sort of give up, and perhaps from being tired or so on and so forth, will find a little bit of energy left, and sort of go around. And you as you said, it's about sort of, part of it's about keeping your ego in check and knowing it's not about you. And one of the things that happens when you do something like this, and especially in this particular moment, is you really sort of open yourself up to the feelings of this community, and you realize in the way they actually don't look at you or take, notice of you too much, that it's because they've welcomed you in a community. You've been here for a few days. They are a very welcoming people to begin with, but they don't question why you're there. They don't question what you're doing. They don't, you're there, and they trust that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that you're doing your part, and so on and so forth. So there is that kind of warmth there that you feel that perhaps allows you to steel yourself a little bit.
There's nothing that creates a sense of family than tragedy, even amongst the community. So
there you go.
Definitely understand that.
So a lot of you will spend the rest of your the few hours that you get to rest as you will. I will say that it is enough rest to get back your willpower points and your health points and cure any conditions that you have, and so on and so forth. So you will begin in the morning refreshed. By the time you get up a few hours later, you will find that the Sage Morag and Atla have already prepared the ram. You were gifted a pack ram, and Atla, who couldn't sleep, has been up already sort of loading it and making sure that all the supplies are there, and the Sage is double checking everything and making sure that everything's good. And as you approach them, the Sage will turn to you and she'll go, we were lucky that a lot of you were here last night, and even though the villagers are perhaps not rushing to you and smothering you in hugs and kisses and heartfelt thanks, they certainly feel it in their heart, and it's just because their minds are bent to the task at hand right now and the dark business that lays in the next few days. But please rest assured that they and I are very, very thankful for your presence here and your actions and your self-sacrifices. And she'll put a hand on Olo's shoulder, and none of what happened here will be forgotten. And know that you carry with you on this quest that you are undertaking not just our hopes for success, but that everyone here is pulling with you, is there with you in spirit and heart, and let that be a wind at your back as you move towards the north and towards the monolith, and take heart in it.
You are very kind, but gratitude is far from the most important thing when food and shelter are still wanting. Pay it no mind.
I also want to stress, and she looks at Dara, that the people here will be fine. I will look out for them, and we've already gotten word that the king is sending some supplies and some help, so we'll be fine. Don't spare any more thoughts to this. Keep your mind focused ahead on what you have to accomplish. The land up north, first day of your travel shouldn't be too difficult, but by the next morning you'll start entering some very difficult, very dangerous areas, made so because of the effects of this monolith. So do be careful. The world up there is not the world that we know.
I know. It's I'll get us through as safe as I can.
I know you will. And with that, she will give you all a final nod, and we'll leave you be, and Atla will finish cinching the packs on the goat, and without really looking at Dara or doing much, will sort of walk away and sort of just kind of indicate that he's ready to go whenever the rest of you are.
Dara tells Atla to lead on. I mean, he, generally speaking, is pretty good at leading us through places and whatnot, and he seems to have a way with stubborn mules, probably something to do with growing up with me as a brother. And just let him lead on. I think Dara kind of just hangs back for a moment in contemplation before the others, letting the others kind of move on ahead of him.
Anybody else? Anything you want to do, or just hit the road, Jack?
Well, if we are loaded up with supplies and the ram has been packed, Idolo will be preparing for travel, and so he will open up his robe and pull out what looks like a disc of sorts, a small little stool-looking disc, and he will pull it out of the sleeve of his robes and sit upon it, where he will float like a little cross-legged about 3 feet, and will begin to follow Atla as he begins the journey.
Did you bring enough of those for the whole class, Master Jumbie?
Oh, unfortunately, this was it's a family artifact. I wish I could. If you want to sit on my lap, I don't know if it could hold both of our weights.
When we're better friends, Master Jumbie, perhaps we can discuss such a thing.
Cheers.
Anything from Eloth, or you are good to go?
I think, if anything, Amloth sort of feels the sense that whether anyone agrees or not, he feels the need to say something at a point like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he says, Offord was a man of action, not words. I think, to be fair, he thought me a flower-headed ninny. So, in his honor, I will keep it brief. I now have a friend that I have to sing home. I have to return to Wildbow and make sure that Offord's song joins the song of the others. So, with that in mind, I have no intention of dying on this trip. Things are far too important for that to happen. I would much appreciate it if all of you joined me in that promise right now.
Do everything I can to see you safely home, good sir. You should know, though, that these mountains are dangerous. And even being home is so important to you. Things get too hairy. Don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to let go a little bit and let the rest of us carry this burden. You've got a lot on your mind. Like I said, I'll do everything I can. You get nothing less than my best from me.
You're very kind. However, I did not say I was wishing to share the limelight. I just said I need to go home at the end of this, and I expect both of you to do as well. So, without further ado, Yachida, friends. And he raises a metaphorical goblet and just says, to the road.
To the road.
Dara just holds up Skyforger to his forehead and, like, kind of bonks it against the front of his head. You can hear the thudding ringing that occurs, almost magically enhanced from the powerful hammer that it is.
A lot of you then will set out following Atla and the pack ram. You're behind, off in the distance behind the town of Kinnicrid. There's a massive wall that is very ancient and dates from a long time ago when the Highland Vergs used to be at war with the Ashkari, their neighbors to the east. Part of that wall has been destroyed to create a gate now leading into the Ashkari land, but the part that still sits at the foot of the mountain is still there and casts a long shadow over the village of Kinnicrid itself. So you will be heading towards the west for a little bit, near where the river comes down from the mountain, and then hooking back up towards the north. And your trip should take about 3 days. You should be getting there sometime during the 3rd day. You are very blessed this morning, as there's no leftover effects from the storm in the air. The morning is quite crisp and chill, way chiller than it should be at this time of year. But that's just a good, nice temperature to set off on a long trek with a little bit of that sun coming up, which would normally be kind of more of perhaps a late fall sun, but even though it's early mid-spring. But at least it's there, and it's giving you a bit of that light, and it seems like a good omen for the trip ahead.
As we make our way out of town, Dara, still kind of lingering towards the back a bit, at one point kind of lets most of the others get ahead of him, and Idolo feels a little tap on his shoulder, and Dara uses the large end of his hammer to kind of hook his elbow a little bit and kind of pull him back some, and just starts walking beside him, still looking straight ahead, and just says, "You said something yesterday that, well, I think I need to have a talk with you about, Mr. Jambi."
Jambi will smile while still looking straight ahead. Go on.
You should know that, in case it wasn't apparent, my brother and I are very close to one another. You mentioned when you accepted this journey and being part of it and all that hubbub from yesterday, you mentioned that you'd be a good troublemaker for the group.
Indeed.
You should know that that's my brother's task. As Idolo laughs, Dara stops and turns and looks at him and stares at him coldly and seriously.
I think you misunderstand what I mean by trouble. Anyone who's attempting to help in any way is a troublemaker. If you are hanging off the side of a cliff and you're holding on to a rock that is also falling off the side of a cliff, what good is it? Only the people who are idle who are the ones who are peaceful. We are on this quest to cause trouble. Not menace, not malice, but as something out there has a plan and will put a stop to it. I mean trouble as in troubling those plans, not mischief for mischief's sake. Now, I look straight into your eyes and I see someone that I keep asking who you are, as if you've almost forgotten. I hope one day you remember. Perhaps you see yourself only when looking at your brother. Siblings have a way of comparing themselves as a form of identification. But one day, I think you'll remember who you are without that comparison. And then,
I know quite well who I am, Mr. Jambi.
Really?
I do. And in this instance, I'm my brother's protector. So just be mindful of things that you say and do, and you'll get no trouble from me.
Duly noted. May you be your brother's protector and his keeper.
Oh no. No one is fit for the task of keeping Atla.
Cheers.
And he just kind of nods and starts walking ahead.
As you set off then, in the wake of this discussion, you begin traveling, as I said, west and then veer north a little bit, and you can see the effects of the storm a little bit here. Although it didn't go that far west, it was mostly coming down from the north. So fairly soon you leave behind the charred trees and overturned earth and random new lakes that have appeared from the torrential downpour of the night before, and find yourself in much more normal sort of area, gently rolling hills, some evergreens here and there, things of that nature. The land up here is very beautiful, very rugged, very striking. It's a little strange to see it at this time of year, as I said, covered with a little bit of frost, and there's always just a little bit of snow sort of coming down, but it is still quite beautiful. However, once you start heading north, the land around you changes a little bit. The storm appears to have had a devastating effect on a large swath of the land north of the wall. Trees are often uprooted, burned to a crisp, frozen in thick ice, or just plain shattered into thousands of bits. The water you encounter is alternately limpid, sluggish with slushed ice, or on fire. Still, you manage to make decent time as you can skirt the heart of the storm's path, stick into an old road that often disappears under sheer rock or thick mud, or is covered with so much debris you have to make a wide detour to continue on our way. The air up here is cold, crisp, and sharp, or humid and thick with heat, or acrid with the bitter smell of smoke. As you travel on, I will ask of you to give me, for the day, a bushcraft roll. One person will do it, the others can help. If you have bushcraft and you will be helping the person making the roll, then you can add a +1 for each person that is helping you. But only one person will make it, and this roll will apply for the entire day. Do tell me if you plan on using rations or attempting to hunt. If you plan on trying to hunt or scavenge some food on the way up, I will require a second bushcraft roll.
Dara can make that roll with Atla helping him at the very least. Something they're fairly used to at this point. And I think at the very beginning, since we kind of know the immediate territory around, we'll be using that to try to not have to dip into our rations.
Yeah, I think if Offit is sort of Amleth is of the mind that sort of we should try and hunt and catch whatever we can now and just preserve those as long as we can. So yeah, absolutely down for that.
Okay, so who will be making the bushcraft / survival roll, and Dara will be making the hunting roll, you said, or the gathering roll?
I think Dara is making the bushcraft roll.
Yeah, so I need 2 bushcraft rolls. One just for general staying on the path, taking care of the elements, so on and so forth, and another one for scavenging food. So who's doing what?
Is it metagaming to talk about what scores we have in this?
Yeah, you can try to talk about it, but try to talk about it, what's your experience, or do you feel that you're very good at this, or, or would you lie about it? Like, try to role play it out rather than just giving us like, I have a +3, I have a +2.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, I think I can probably settle most of the discussion aspect of it in that Dara does his best to find the path, and Atla usually either assists him or goes off hunting. So if Amloth, sorry, I keep forgetting his name. If Amloth and Atla kind of work out between themselves that, I can go hunt for food, and the other assist Dara, then that's fine. Yeah. Or really, it's realistically, the both of you could go hunting, and, like Atla could assist Amloth in the hunting too. So either way works for me.
Just tell me what you want to do. Someone make a roll.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and roll.
We'll assume that Amloth can find food because he looks well fed.
All right, so Dara, give me a bushcraft roll just for bushcrafting, and Amloth, give me one for scavenging gathering. Both of you, I will say, I have one person helping you, I guess, so you can each take a +1.
Okay.
Or a -1.
A -1, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. I have 6 under 14.
Okay. Excellent.
I have 18 over 12.
Right. So rations it is. So, Dara, the road up here is still fairly easy to follow, and you've been up here before, certainly up to a certain distance. So you don't have too much difficulty, even when you have to veer off the road because there's been a landslide or there's debris and so in the way. There's strange things, like there are places where you get there and literally giant rocks have just sprouted out of the earth right in the middle of where the path normally would have been. So there's like really kind of strange elemental effects like that, and you're often having to kind of go around, and it does slow you down a bit, enough that you figure you've probably lost a couple of hours throughout the day just sort of circumventing problems and issues. But you never get lost. You always know where you're going. You always find the road back again. The elements themselves don't alter too much. You do go from, I would say, like, I'm going to speak in Celsius, so there's really only Olo's going to get what I'm saying, but you're going to sort of go from
I only lived in Canada for 6 years.
All right. So you're going to go from around at, like, 0-ish degrees to about 15, and it'll sort of hover back and forth between that a little bit. And so sometimes you're taking off your jacket, sometimes putting it on, but there's nothing major. There's no like hailstorm of fire or anything too crazy that happens.
Just so everyone, else in the spectrum of non-Celsius and, American units is interested, that's 32 degrees to around 64. Just FYI. Because I can do that in my head.
There you go. I am really afraid of the other things you do in your head too, so we're not going to go there.
You should be.
But on the other hand, so
for what it's worth, also I should interject that around Dara, basically anyone in 15-20 feet of Dara, the temperature actually stays a relatively even, like 55-60 Fahrenheit. Because of his
body heat, undercarriage.
Yeah, his notable wrath. No, just because of his mastery of the elements.
Oh,
he can keep it. He can invoke that magic pretty much at will.
So that's good. Amloth, you. So what happens, Amloth? You failed quite miserably. What was
Listen, to be fair, I've never had to chase a rabbit through a bush that was both freezing and on fire.
You got a brand new bow on top of that there.
Idlo and Dara hear you hear Amloth and Atla coming back before you see them, because they're just bickering about whose fault it was that they weren't able to catch anything. Amloth looks incredibly like sweaty and cold. Like he's been wearing big fur. He was cold coming out of the Whisper Wild Bow anyway. So he's been kind of taking on and putting off these huge winter furs, and it's just like dirty sweat, kind of dank curls in his forehead, in his eyes now. He's had a rather rubbish time of it.
And it comes back quite empty-handed.
Yes, thank you, DM.
Dara just looks at his brother and says, "The fuck? You're supposed to come back with food." He doesn't blame Amloth like at all. It's all Atla's fault.
Everybody will say, "I don't think we saw anything that had just 4 legs. Like everything's got 6 or 7 legs or is on fire. Like
it's unsettling."
That just means more legs for the barbecue.
When you say it like that, and he'll lean in and go, "He's probably from the city, because bad."
Listen, I can hear you. I've got very good hearing, all right? I live in a forest. I'm very good at this sort of thing normally, but there's a certain degree of leniency around the weather that is being somewhat overwrought here.
What does the sound of a rabbit running away sound like exactly?
Well, it depends on whether or not it's on rock or on grass or, in the trees. It's a big difference between all the things. Don't worry about it. We've got plenty of rations to go around, Amloth. It's understandable. You're just not used to the mountains.
Yoch. All right, thank you.
As you travel on, heading towards the destination, about just before you break for lunch, I would like someone to roll me a d6 and tell me what you got.
I'm not touching this one.
Go for it, Adrian.
Yeah, you haven't had to roll anything yet.
I'll go ahead and mark off four rations off of our
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's gonna,
that's on the
I was gonna tell you when you stop for camp, but that's fine as long as you get it.
Yeah.
I rolled a 4.
You rolled a 4. All right. So as you carry on looking for a spot to maybe stop to take some lunch, you approach what was surely at one point a fairly beautiful pond, perhaps a nice cozy place for a picnic, a bit of easy floating on a small boat. But now as you approach, you see that trees are blackened as fire is eating them from the inside. A black tar-like substance flows from between the roots out of the earth and slips into the pond. You see several dozen birds stuck in this muck, trying to break free but failing to do so. They appear as wild shapes attempting to extricate themselves for the first time from the primordial muck, but it is clear their lives are forfeit. And as you see these things kind of trying to get out, you've seen birds and oil spills before. That's kind of what it looks like. And the trees are really strange because the fire is inside, but the tree on the outside remains kind of there. So you can see the cracks through the trees. You can see the fire that's eating them from the inside, and you can see where the others have collapsed from this. And as you sort of approach and take this in, the weather suddenly turned, and this downpour, it just starts raining cats and dogs. The raindrops that are coming, you can literally see them. They're huge, and as they come down and hit the trees, they evaporate, but it's creating this sort of little nest of smoke that is just starting to move around and surrounding this entire sort of pond. Do you do anything, or do you continue on your way?
Is it unpleasant to be around? I mean, are we sort of choked with smoke? Is it that bad?
It's gonna get worse. There's absolutely no breeze whatsoever. The raindrops are falling straight down, and as they hit these trees, it's creating this sort of acrid smog-like thing that's just kind of sticking close to the ground, and it's kind of picking up that smell from that tar that's spilling out. And the good side is that because you rolled for rain, the entire thing's not going up in flames, but it is creating that sort of miasmic little sort of fog that's hovering, and it's kind of moving towards where you are.
This is an uncertain place. I don't know about you lot, but I wouldn't mind finding somewhere a little less shuffled.
We can move on a bit. You should know that the closer we get to this, well, the further in we go, it's just going to get worse. You should prepare yourselves for that. The sights are, they're going to scar your mind.
We did not know it had got this bad, Master Manacmore. We, on behalf of the Wildren, I apologize. We would have come and helped sooner.
I appreciate that. You should know, though, that whatever's happening, we may not be able to stop it. And very likely, this is what your forests are in for soon enough.
Well, and actually, at you saying that, Amleth brightens somewhat and says, hopefully, what is wrong can be made right. And he fishes out of Offid's pack. He's also put on Offid's armor, by the way, which is built for a slightly more athletic figure. So it's a little bit kind of high on the shoulder, a little bit low on the waist. But he digs out his pack and he pulls out 2 sort of small vials, like one small bottle and a small vial of what looked to be seeds. And he said, I was going to mention when we got further in, but Offit not being the most communicative sort, he actually brought more hope with him than he may have. Frankly, I don't know why he didn't say more. These, and he taps the seeds, are sunvine seeds, taken from the Whisperwoods himself. And these, and he taps the bottle, are the tears of Ents. Now, when you water one with t'other, The plant that grows feeds on corruption and rot. Offred was carrying a letter from Archdruid Laezrin that said she hoped that if planted by the monoliths, they might be able to fight back the corruption, maybe even destroy them. So, we perhaps have more arrows in our quiver than we thought.
It's good to know. I'm glad you shared. I don't hold it against your friend for not sharing right away. That's something precious you have there. Keep on to it for now.
Put it back in the pack. Keep moving.
As you will eventually find yourselves a nice, quiet little place to pull over and have a bit of a lunch, which won't be interrupted by anything more than a few pieces of
Atla
earth
and Dara have a belching contest.
And you see the corruption, it's already reaching you. You should feed it some sunvine seed. You will continue on your way, and as you continue in the afternoon trying to make up for the time that you've lost, and one of the things that's interesting with the pack ram is that sometimes when you come across one of these rocks, outcropping that's just kind of grown, you start going around it, and it's already kind of halfway up trying to get over it like this. So they're pretty awesome, these pack rams that you got. Very quiet too, and you know, sort of keep to themselves, and they don't stink too much, so they're ideal traveling companions. As you continue on your way, please, in the afternoon, can I get another roll of a d6, please?
My turn. That is a 3.
As you travel on a little bit further, you suddenly feel the blow of a northern gale that cuts right through you, and in a matter of seconds, the temperature drops by like 15, 20 degrees, like a rock. And you look around and you don't see at first anything that's out of the ordinary. There's no storm clouds, there's no snow, there's nothing like that. But then as you kind of round the bend, you can feel that the air is moving through this final little sort of valley before you kind of get into the highlands for real. And the wind that comes up is very cold, and you can see below, and this is perhaps disheartening a little bit to Dara and Atla, as you know this place fairly well. There is an orchard here that is renowned for the golden apples that it gives, and it is said to be have been a long, long time ago when the Dvergs and the Jotuns were still friends, a gift from the Jotuns of this orchard of golden apples. And as you see it now, you can see that it's, even though obviously it's too early for the trees to have been in bloom, the orchard itself is completely frozen. The trees are like sculptures of ice. Their branches broken or bowed in obeisance to a winter that shouldn't be. And as you see this, you turn, Dara, because you know that across the road from here is a small lumber enterprises. A lumberjack and his family lives here. And as you turn to look over to where their cottage is, you can see that sudden torrential rains, probably during the night, have completely drowned out the small lumber cottage. You can see logs floating away in a place where before there was basically no water. The house all but swallowed by this deep, dark water that is now entirely occupying the base of this valley on the side that is not completely frozen.
Do I know the family well enough to know whether they're too stubborn to have gotten out? Like, is this situation? Let me put it this way: would Dara want to go, and is it worth delaying our trek for Dara to go and inspect?
Your feeling is that yes, this is a very stubborn family that lives there, but also a smart one, and very likely you feel once they realized that there was real danger, they would have gotten out. You don't see anything floating that would give you, like there's no bodies floating or anything like that. It's mostly probably just their house now that has been completely sort of taken away. And as you sort of take this in, well, I don't want to tell you what to do. Are you going to stop and do something, or are you content with?
Yeah, I think that Dara would stop, but not for very long. It would be basically just enough to kind of explain to Idolo and Amlos, to explain to the two of them kind of the situation that we're in between the apple orchard and the family with the lumber mill, and just more signs of how dire it is. And I think during it, the two of you would start to see Dara getting more and more kind of cold in his demeanor. And certainly for Idolo, the expert in mentalism and whatnot, would recognize that that's kind of his defense to not feel the obviously heartfelt pain of the situation. In the meantime, at the very least, staying in proximity to him, the, temperature being what it is with the cold gusts and whatnot, you can at least tolerate that a little bit, even if you may not necessarily want to be around him when he gets this way.
Idolo will listen, acknowledge, and also scan the house to make sure that there's no one in there. Just kind of like if there's any surface thoughts of anybody hiding or anybody in distress.
No.
So and then just reassuring the rest of the party that there's no one inside the home. Whoever was in there, I'm sure they're in a safe place.
But this Dara gives you an idea of how bad it got up here, because these people would not leave for like major snowstorms, so like it got really bad really quickly for them to get out.
Right.
You will continue on your way, and eventually around the time where dark is starting to fall, you will find a nice little spot to set up your tents. Now, I think you bought one tent, but I thought you were going to have 4 tents, so I drew 4 tents on this map. But let's just assume that, whatever number of tents you had decided to bring with you.
I mean, we could say that it was 4 kind of individually sized tents, because that's still fine. 4 units.
Doesn't matter too much. You will find yourselves then arriving at setting up a camp on the little on the side of where's your, can't find out, there you are. So the road at some point you come at a point where there's this sort of brand new river that has been forged that passes under the road. That certainly wasn't there before, but it looks like the ground has sort of lifted up, and the torrential rains that probably kind of led to the flooding of the valley have created this little river. And you find a nice little spot sort of down by where the side of the road is to build your camp. As you can see, your goat is happily munching down here. I would like you to, so you're going to be setting up for the night. I'm going to ask for anyone who wishes to make one a bushcraft roll. This has nothing to do with survival or anything like that. It's just to see if you notice something. So anyone who wants can do a bushcraft roll, and then I'm going to need someone to roll me a D3 of all things.
Okay. I got an 11 under 14 for the bushcraft, and the D3 is a 3.
I do have spot hidden if there's anything hidden.
It would be more bushcraft.
So these are brand new dice, and I forgot to tell them we're not playing D&D. So out of my 2 rolls today, the first 2 rolls they've ever made were a 19 and an 18.
Well, when you play D&D, you're set.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to have a chat after the session. That is 18 over 12.
So it sounds like you got Will Wheaton's dice by mistake in whatever.
Will Wheaton's Dragonbane dice.
So we'll say that you're busy preparing dinner. Dara, as you, with your bushcraft roll, what you will realize as you perhaps walk to this little river there, the little brook, to get some water for cooking, you notice that there is some sort of oily brackishness that runs in it. And it looks fairly thin here, but it's clearly coming from further north. And you can see a number of dead fish floating sort of belly up down the water. You don't think it's safe to drink this water, but this sort of it when I don't know if you touch it or you inspect it, it's not going to hurt you, but it looks kind of like oil would look on water, but it doesn't feel like that. Like when you sort of put your hands in it and bring it up, it actually kind of becomes solid on your fingers and becomes just kind of like this sort of goop, I guess. But when it's in the water, it becomes more of an oily kind of thing. But when you pick it up, it gains a little bit of tonus, basically.
Would it be possible for me to, I mean, maybe this isn't even worth the effort, but given the various supplies that I have for crafting and whatnot with the campfire and things that we possess, could I set up some type of a boiling filter?
Yeah, absolutely.
To see if it comes off, to see if see if I can separate it from the water.
Go ahead and give me a crafting roll.
Is the goop itself flammable?
It is not. How do you test that? Tell me how you test that.
Well, I'm sure there's like an ember of the fire, like a.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to trick you. I just want to know how you do it so that I can know how to respond.
It's just kind of like, as it's about just kind of seeing if it actually is.
I got 5 under 15.
Okay, yeah. So absolutely no problem. You jury rig something, and you can you have it from now on, a water distilling thing. Adolo, as you do that, you grab a little bit of it on the stick, perhaps, or on your hands, whatever, and you bring some amber close to it. It tries to get away from the fire. Not like, run!
Yeah, like,
but you can see it clearly kind of moving a little bit, trying to get away from the fire.
Huh. That's interesting.
Do a sense magic on it?
Were you asking, Miko, or were you doing?
Can I do a sense magic?
You can roll.
I don't know if it's appropriate or not.
If you
use sense magic,
sure. If your character would want to check that out, please go ahead and make a roll.
Yeah.
Adolo, you were saying?
But it seemed like does it seem more like a chemical reaction, or does it seem like sentience, or is it like?
What an excellent question. What could you give me? Give me, my friend, a mentalism roll.
Okay.
Do you need me to roll my elementalism for sense magic? Or because sense magic just says I sense a place or an item, and if it's being affected by magic.
Yeah, if it says just that, then you can do it without rolling anything. You don't get I would say you get a sense of like some sort of latent magic, but definitely nothing, more like maybe it came from a place of magic rather than it itself.
Got it.
And
cool.
Italo?
I got a 5.
Okay.
Mentalism was 14. So.
Remind me how you phrased your question.
Was the reaction to the fire something that was like a chemical reaction, or something based in sentience? Like, is it just some kind of natural repelling force, or does it does not like it?
There is somewhere deep down on a very, very, very microscopic level, a tiny, itsy little whiff of sentience. But it doesn't feel, again, sort of the same thing as with Miko's answer, where it doesn't feel like it necessarily has sentience, but that it might come from something that does, and so it retains. And I would say that maybe not sentience on the level of awareness of things, but sentience on the level of,
self-preservation,
something that has goals and desires, or like
beyond just survival.
That's probably the prime one, but there's
desire,
there's
goals.
Some, yeah.
How intriguing. I'm trying to find a way to kind of explain this discovery without sounding like a complete wackaloon. We're like,
I think these rations would be good with some celery salt. Has anyone got any on them?
Speaking of the rations, what did you roll, Miko? 3?
5.
No, on the D3.
Oh, it's 3. Yeah, it was a 3.
As you, Amloth, as you go and check the rations to prepare, you realize that 3 of your rations have spoiled due to some of the weather effects and so on and so forth during the day.
What weather effects? It's a freezer.
Mother.
Alrighty then, I will mark those off.
What's wrong?
We're going to need to wrap these a bit better tomorrow, boys. And sort of hold up a sort of dripping, charred, sort of semi-broiled, half-frozen lump of matter.
It's all the things at once.
I'm not enjoying this. I want that to be known.
I don't expect that any of us are going to enjoy this endeavor.
Amloth tightens his belt and pulls out a pipe. And sits brooding.
Did you take Master Chef?
I didn't know.
Okay. Sorry. I'm looking at your character sheet. Why I don't know why I just didn't look at your character.
Of all the skills come to survival and be like, you know what, Master Chef? Yeah,
I was so close, and then I was like, you know what, I've got 12 for bushcraft. I'll be fine.
I have to tell you that if you had Master Chef, I would have allowed you to make a roll to give you to know how to save the...
Well, shoulda, woulda, coulda, Chris. Thank you very much for that.
I'm just saying, you never know, like, Master Chef, when's that going to come up? Well, there you go.
So close to taking that.
I know, so close. You will still manage to make a decent meal, and you got enough spices and stuff that you make something that is good, and with the water that Dara has managed to, clean out for you, you managed to make some nice tea and so on and so forth. Here's a question for you. Do you wish to have a moment here to talk amongst yourselves, or do you feel that you want to sort of turn in early and carry on? I will leave that choice up to you.
I think Dara would at least, over the course of the evening at some point before Amloth, like probably just before Amloth is about to turn in for bed, he looks at him and says, Master Amloth, I know the armor is special to you and it's your friends and, it carries a lot of meaning, so don't take any of this with any bit of disrespect. But would you let a master crafter such as myself have a touch at it to see that it fits you a little bit better? I'm pretty good with my leathers, and I'd be happy to make it adjusted appropriate to your hips and shoulders at the very least.
Master Dvargbach, I would be very grateful. It has been chafing something rotten on the walk. I didn't want to say anything. That would be very kind of you. And yeah, sort of
no trouble at all.
Unbuckle and hand over that. Is it a breastplate, Chris?
Yeah, so basically it would be that. It would be like a breastplate that would open like on one side sort of thing that you would tie, and then there's like a little shoulder pad that would come down to half here. And he was an archer, so it's really meant for, there's no, when you check it out, Dara, it's extremely well made. You can tell that there's no impeding, it doesn't impede movement at all. The leather is cured in a way that you don't know exactly how it's done. It's a process that's different than the one that you use, and it seems to be layered, almost kind of like you might layer pieces of metal maybe on an armor, but they've layered different types of leathers with the grain going in different directions so that it gives it, even though it's very thin, extra sturdiness, and yet still remains very, very flexible and very easy to move in. It's top notch, and being a mage, you can sense that there's some form of enchantment in it.
Sure. He's not trying to really adjust any of the functionality of it at all. All he's doing is just trying to adjust the cinches and the straps and such to be more appropriate to Amloth's size.
Right, and you don't need to roll. You do an excellent job of doing that and fixing it up. And one of the things that you realize And I don't know if you noticed that the night before, but you remember, Amloth, you did that it was self-repairing, right? Like it had gotten damaged in the attack that Alfred had suffered, and then it had sort of repaired itself. And Dara, you would be able to know that the enchantment on it is that basically that it allows it to not suffer durability damage.
Nice.
It's kind of like it reads your intention when you're like trying to move or do something. It reads the intention so it doesn't fight that. But if there was like an attack, it would.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Master Dara. That's very kind of you. A craftsman should sign his work. Would you put your mark upon it? And I kind of offer you the inside of it.
Sure enough, I'll brandish one of the straps at the very least, the parts that I touched, and a craftsman doesn't want to take heed against someone else's crafts. I'll touch what I touched.
Much obliged. Oh, that's so much better. Oh.
Yeah, it does feel.
Oh, it was getting me under there, just every day, just a little bit all day, just.
I could tell, yes.
Oh.
As we're because it does take him a while, so, and certainly Dara would not let Amloth sleep in it, because that would just be disastrous for him to do so. So that in the following morning when he's, prepping the fit and all of that is when we have that bit of conversation, and he certainly helps make sure that the fit is right. Probably even recommends like a few adjustments for the shoulder pauldron, as it was designed for an archer and not someone of Amloth's skill,
Very grateful.
Anything else you'd like to touch upon before you go to bed and I attack you with a Trask?
While all this is going on, Elo is just keeping the fire going, and just playing cool, listening to the wind, not bothering anybody till the morning when the Trask comes.
Mm-hmm. So you'll go to bed at some point. Being quite knackered from the road, I assume you'll set up guard rotation. It's okay. You don't have to go into details about it. Someone will be up. You go to bed, and it's hard going to sleep at first, as you can hear constantly sort of in the distance, especially once you kind of all retire and are kind of left alone with your thoughts, the anguished cries of various animals that were injured and hurt during the shatter storm last night. And you're sure you heard a couple of them give their final croaks fairly close to the camp, but nothing comes about the camp. The only thing of notice is that about halfway through the night, a sudden sleet storm starts. The tent starts to bat in the wind and almost gets pulled off. I would like for someone to do a bushcraft roll. Just quickly here, and you can get a +1 for anybody else in the group that's got bushcraft that would be helping you.
I will help someone.
Yeah, probably something that Atla and Dara are used to, so Dara will take the lead on it.
Go for it.
That is, good thing for the +1. I got a 14 on my roll is a 14. My bushcraft is also 14.
Ooh.
All right. Well, with that bushcraft roll, you managed not only to save the tent, but your ram, who in the sleet storm had panicked and started trying to chew through his tether and trying to get out of there. And you managed to get him just in time and sort of haul him in with you in the tent so that he's not outside in this storm. So you saved your pack animal, your bushcraft, with your tent, which is good. You eventually, the storm is very, very, very hard, but it doesn't last very long, and you eventually manage to go back to sleep. But when you wake up in the morning, you wake up because it is extremely hot. We're talking 35 degrees Celsius. But when you come outside, you can see that everything is covered in ice. Ice that is quickly melting now. But your tent, your packs, anything that was left outside, the ground is just covered in like an inch thick of ice from that ice storm in the middle of the night. Thankfully, it is 35 degrees, so it's melting rather rapidly. But as the ice is melting, it's creating this mist that's making it very difficult for you to sort of see even like just a few feet in front of you.
Do we need to track water we're carrying as well as rations, or is that all sort of counted?
It's all in the thing.
Okay.
You pack up
as soon as the morning comes. Dara sets about to using his elemental magics to keep everything within. And I looked it up again. It's everything within 10 meters of him, actually.
Okay.
Wow.
If you're going to take some precautions for the food, I will say...
Master Dara, would you care to carry these since you appear to have some sort of humidor built into yourself?
I can fit it in.
Could we reshuffle the packs so that Dara is carrying?
Yeah, that's not a problem. I don't want to be a huge asshole, but you don't have bushcraft on your character sheet, Miko.
I renamed it to mountaineering.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I renamed it mine to mentalism.
Good thing to know.
You had told me I could do that when we were...
Yeah, I know. But, the amount of things that, I say yes to that I don't know what the fuck's going on. So go ahead and give me, then, a bushcraft roll, just to see if you can prevent any further damage to your food.
Can you see the rolls that I'm doing in Owlbear? I forget. I don't guess you can.
Why, you want to lie to me? No, I trust you.
Huh? I was just curious.
No.
Yeah, it's a 4 under 14.
Okay. So you managed to find a way to pack them out, and the first thing you do is you kind of separate them a little bit so that if one spoils, it's not going to spoil the other. So you kind of wrap stuff up individually, and then you find better places to pack it and so on and so forth. So you feel that you shouldn't have too much trouble with spoiled food anymore in the coming day. As you set up...
Does anyone have any rations on them that they want me to hold on to? Because at this point I could carry an additional, because I'm going to swap my sleeping fur onto the mule. I could carry an additional 8.
I don't. I have a field kitchen instead.
I feel it.
I was literally the only one that brought rations.
Didn't we
the
pack
forest
a fun?
will provide
I thought we
land.
But didn't we
Yes,
budget
no,
it out?
I meant personally.
Oh, right,
I was
yeah.
the only one that brought extra rations.
I always eat family style. I don't really think of carrying things myself.
It's got a point.
It's a good point.
So you set off that morning, and as you travel now through a landscape that is increasingly the very image of chaos, as if the further you move north and closer to the monolith, the less the otherwise immutable laws of nature function as before. Deep, dark sinkholes dot the land, many where islands of earth have shot up into the sky and float there like dark clouds. Along the river, fire plants now grow, moving in the wind and shedding ambers. Flames leap from the water, and the earth belches out mist. A darkness hovers in the sky, a thick miasma of smoke and humidity that blots out the sun and drenches all below in a perpetual gloom, lit only by the rampaging fires that consume rocks. Trees are laden with snow, the ground frozen through near jagged crevices and molten rocks. Madness has truly seized the land. It seems almost impossible that this would be either reversible or that it would not eventually spread further and further. You grasp, perhaps for the first time, just how delicate the balance is and just how fucked your world may actually be. As you travel through this inhospitable terrain, I will ask for your daily bushcraft roll. In this case, you will give it to me with a bane.
Oof.
Hey. Is Atlas still able to assist me?
Yeah, again, you can get some assistance. If you are hunting, same thing. You will give me a bushcraft roll, but again with a bane.
I rolled a 6 and a 13 before any assistance.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a 5. And no, it's a 16.
All right. So you, again, don't manage, but this time it's not really your fault as there's really nothing around. You find a lot of carcasses and things of that nature. You do hear perhaps in the distance birds and things of that nature, but there really doesn't seem to be a lot of animals running around. With your bushcraft roll, Dara, you manage to still keep everyone safe throughout the day and keep to the trail well enough. And you will arrive eventually at a new spot for a camp, although this one appears to be perhaps a little less comfortable or safe than the one the night before, as right near where you are, the land is frozen and the trees heavy with snow, but it's a balmy little 20-some degrees. Where you set up the camp, you can see these little islands of earth floating in the sky, and you pick what appears to be the only place that's not near one of them in case they decide to come back. You do wonder for a moment whether or not your camp will eventually elevate like that, so perhaps something to think about. The water itself is on fire. There are in places the water seems to have turned into stone, and the fauna itself here, the trees, the plants, appear to have been imbued with elemental power. There are strange mushrooms, the likes of which you've never seen, that grow in these crevices. You see rock formations and terrain that has no place being in the highlands. You've never seen anything quite like it. It is very, very strange. Seen, and here I assumed you lost one of your tents, as you can see.
Some foreshadowing.
That's right. You will go to bed that night.
I would also like to set up a precaution of actually, assuming that the tents are, heatoned to the ground and stuff, maybe using some of our rope to tie the tents together in case one of them starts going away.
Not a problem.
And could I use my abilities as a mentalist to cast divination to find like edible plants that are like gathering, like find if they're even close? It says I could specify a phenomenon, a creature, type of creature, or a substance, and it could give me the direction of the nearest target.
Okay, yeah, go for it. The better you roll, the more you'll find.
Is that D20, I'm assuming?
Yeah, D20, and you have to roll under your mentalism.
Rolled 11. My mentalism is 14.
Okay. So you will find growing under the trees there in the snow these little red berries that Dara will inform you are called snowberries, and have grown quite plentifully, and they don't last very long, but you're able to pick enough to make sure that you have one good ration out of it for later use.
Awesome.
When you eat some of them, when you try them, they crack like ice, and they leave a nice little cool feeling in your mouth, and you could certainly use them as a breath freshener if you wanted. But
like, I'm going to use them like Mentos whenever I'm in trouble. Right. I'm just going to drop a snowberry and wink to the audience.
You will go perhaps trepidatiously to sleep this night, hoping you don't wake up in the sky somewhere. At some point in the middle of the night, I would like you all to make awareness checks.
Dragonbane, not D&D.
7 under 14.
That's another 18.
You're
2
nice
under
like
14.
D&D go.
I haven't rolled under 16.
You need
so
some new
far.
dice.
This is great. I just need to use these for something else.
Right.
And Adolo?
I rolled a 2 under 14.
Nice. So
I'm running a D&D game next month, although if you're at all interested.
You are awoken, the two of you, when you hear a sound like someone trying to spark fire. And, when you wake up, you see outside kind of like little sparks here and there, and you hear that sound of... And you see little sparks of fire, and as you hear that, it comes in mixed with some rather loud, like grunting, snortling sounds that seem very deep and sort of dangerous, almost like perhaps like a wild boar would make. You can see the sparks of fire through the tent wall as these things spark sort of a little bit everywhere around you. Amloth and Atla are sleeping large right now. What do you
Dara just immediately grabs Skyforger and up and out of the tent.
Do you YOLO out of the tent, or are you going to take a second to see what's going on in case maybe, I don't know, the entire area is like full of molten lava, which could be.
I mean, if it is, he has a good understanding of the elements and knows he's fucked anyway, so he's just going to go.
And what about you, Adolo?
He will grab his staff and his sling, and he will step outside of the tent.
As you step out of the tent, the two of you will see around your camp here and there. Oops, sorry. Sort of around the camp, and you see that a couple of them have probably come through the camp. That's what you would see. But the sparking that you saw were these creatures' feet, as when they hit the ground, it sparks fire. But you see a number of boars that look like this, like nothing you've ever seen. And when their feet hit rock, it sparks fire.
Are those boars true to size?
Now they are.
God. Oh, God.
They are very large.
Say something, didn't you?
They are like the size of like...
It has Tarask stats. It's not kidding.
Yeah. They are very large. They are like probably the size of like a Saint Bernard dog or something like that. And you see maybe a dozen of them. As you pop out, naked, wielding your hammer, you are thankful that they don't seem to really be paying your camp too much attention. They're walking around foraging. You can see that they're looking for these fire flowers that have been growing in the area. When they find them, they eat them, and sparks and smoke kind of flies out between their teeth and into the air, kind of like a fire that's just been, kind of hit with a poker, and these little sparks and whatnot sort of go up. And a couple of them, as you come out, will kind of look over their shoulder and sort of stare at you kind of balefully a little bit, but they have very, very dull-looking blue eyes. And they'll look at you a little bit, but then they'll go back to foraging, their big snouts kind of sniffing at the ground and then digging and causing sparks out of the fire, and then they will find these roots from these plants and eat them, and smoke and embers will sort of fire up in the sky. And like I said, there's about a dozen of them moving slowly around your tent like water around a rock in a river.
This might be a stretch, so feel free to tell me to call out my BS, but I have the Ignite magic trick.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be possible for me to, if any of them start getting like too close to one of the tents, like use the Ignite trick as a way of like causing a spark in proximity to them to distract them like away from the tent?
Yeah, so that's a pretty good idea. So I'll totally let you, Mr. Fantastic, that one out. As a couple of them do kind of come sniffing around a little bit, or maybe around your goat or something. Your goat, if a goat ever had a "what the fuck is this" look on its face, it's your goat right now, who's like, "Where the fuck did you bring me, man?" And a couple of times, one of them, and you'll do that, and they'll like kind of their heads will come up, and they'll go over, and they're like truffle, truffle sniffing hogs. They're looking at, and they'll like, and then they'll be kind of disappointed when they don't find something, but something else will catch your attention, and you slowly watch this mass of wild hogs just slowly move along. Digging into the ground, sparking fires, eating plants.
Does this hog look like it would make a good meal?
Honestly, you're kind of wondering if you'd really want to sink your teeth into it. It looks really, really fucked up, to be honest.
This doesn't look appetizing at all. Okay.
No,
it's pre-cooked.
Yeah,
it'd probably be very spicy.
Self-braised.
So you'll watch this, and it's interesting because later on, when they're kind of further away in the darkness, you just see once in a while those sparks kind of going off on the ground, and then eventually they disappear into the night.
Are there any remnants of the fireflower roots that they were seeking out?
They did a pretty good job, but if you give me you have spot, whatchamacallit?
Spot hidden. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you give me a spot hidden roll, I'll see if you can find some.
If you tell Dara what you're doing, he would assist. So.
Oh yeah, he most definitely be like.
Meanwhile, Amloth is like,
"Oh, I rolled a 1. Does anything special happen when you roll a 1?
Yes, a 1 is called a dragon, and it is a critical success. You find a major vein of them that somehow is right under the goat. And so the hogs missed it, but you find like a major, and then when you go there and you start digging, you realize that the plants are starting to grow. The plants look like they probably grow really quickly, but you manage to get like a nice big bushel of them.
They're not covered in goat piss, are they?
No, no. Your goat's a well-mannered goat. He goes downstream. You're not quite sure what you could do with those or how they would be useful, but you got a slot worth of them.
Okay.
Do you try chewing one?
I will try to kind of chew one, but I will have one of the minty fresh little red pebbles in case it gets a little too hot to try to counteract.
Well, you do get the feeling that if you didn't have one of the snowberries, you would probably have burned your mouth. Like, you know those killer, what's those chips, the little rolled up chips, the Takis or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like the really hardcore ones, like, so that times like, 100.
Okay.
Carolina Reaper.
Yeah, that plus some shit the bed sauce, which is a real sauce. It's a real hot sauce.
Oh my god.
And it's awful, and you should never take it.
Seems like they told you that from the beginning.
Exactly. Right. They didn't hide it.
I mean, I really think if that's on the bottle as a marketed item and you take it, it's entirely on you.
In the morning, you will pack up your things. Do you tell Olo about the... do you tell Amloth and Adla about the Hellboars?
Yes, we'll convey all the information of the night.
I think Daro would have pulled the Dolo to the side and said we shouldn't tell them about any of this.
Why?
Because ostensibly there'd be a trip back from all of this, and maybe they'll get their own encounter, and we can just shrug our shoulders and be like, "Yeah, what the fuck are you going on about? That's normal."
You know what? This will be our little secret.
Amloth comes out in the morning. He's going, "I had dreams of pulled pork all night, and I'm starving."
Pulled pork sliders.
Sliding into you.
Right
and
off
sliding
the bone.
right out. As you, the next morning, pack up your things and keep moving north, you will eventually arrive, and I don't know if I have the word miasma in the next description for you, Adrian, but if I don't, I'll try to throw it in there somewhere. As the mixture of morning mist, steam, and smoke parts in the dim light from the hidden sun, you finally see it, the monolith. 60 or 70 feet tall, it is a spire of alabaster and translucent blue, in some ways akin to a tower, but also reminding you of a shard of ice or a menhir. The Dolo, it does bear some resemblance in form to the one you saw in Karth, though that one was white and gold, very angular and seemingly built of chalk-like stone. This one has fluid contours and whirlwinds of water spin around it, a fine mist spraying on your faces, even from this distance. The earth around is cracked and dried and appears sickly. Whole sections either lifted up above others or sunken below, leaving behind jagged shelves. The monolith sits in water, brackish and fetid, water that has begun carving its way in every direction, slicing through the land against the very rise of the foot of the mountains. A black, oily film sits atop the water, and black plants grow everywhere. The oily black viscosity even seems to emanate from the rocks themselves as if they are crying. The few animals you do see about are strange, deformed, alien-looking. The water seems alive with serpent-like fish. The wind howls, and the monolith hums, as if with barely contained power. And on that note, we will take our break here. As you approach this monolith, we'll take a short break, a little quick 5 minutes, just to stretch our legs and go downstream, briefly, and we will return. So please don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys, great work. And we have reached a monolith, and we'll see what happens with that when we come back momentarily after. So hang out. We'll be back in 5 short minutes. Thank you so much. That's right. We have been bailed out of jail, and we are back. Just before the break, the characters had finally arrived at their destination, the monolith. Andy, if you want to throw back the map up there just to get a glimpse of that monolith once more for the people. So as you approach it, you do see the rocks are sort of covered with these sort of black ferns and other sort of plants. You do remember a note you'd gotten from someone in the village that said that there seemed to be some sort of entrance, perhaps to the north. So I will just assume that you make your way towards the north, and there's this strange effect here where once you get to like within a mile, let's say about of the tower, once it starts to become into view, even though the tower itself, there's a lot of elemental activity around it, there doesn't seem to be weird activity like in that sort of mile around it. It's pretty calm, aside from the fact that the landscape has been completely altered. There's no weird sort of, storms or anything going on. It's kind of like that calm at the center of the storm kind of thing around here. So by being careful, you do manage to kind of skirt this sort of lake that's here. and that is spreading out all around now. And sort of arrived near the north, you were also told that there were beings that lived out here, these sort of blue-skinned creatures that were around, but you don't spot any. And as you come around to the north, you will eventually spot in one of the crevices, pretty much in the northern direction, you will see this. At the base of the tower, there appears to be what looks like a door. You can see the black plants that are in places growing straight out of the rocks, and in some places in the water along this sort of little brook, I guess, or whatever that's sort of emanating. But the brook is emanating from the tower and not feeding into the lake of the tower. From where you are, still at a safe distance, you can see that the water has much more of that black, viscous sort of liquid kind of hovering on top of it. What do you do?
What time of day is it?
It would be about midday by this point.
Well, now, it appears we've reached our first locked door.
Time to go home.
Master Jumbie, does anything there look familiar to you as a man of mystery?
Idolo will walk closer to the door. How large is this door?
Right. So, as you walk closer to the door, please give me an evade roll.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Eight out of 12.
Excellent. You approach the door without too much of an issue. You are walking along the rocks, and I'm assuming avoiding the water. The tower itself, the bed, sort of the lake where it is lower than sort of the access point. So what you see there's maybe like another 7 or 8 feet. It goes down to where the base of the water is. And there's maybe like a 15 feet distance there. So as you kind of approach, we'll say here, I'll put your little Goomba out. As you kind of get there, let's say, I'll embiggen you a little bit. As you kind of get to the edge there, you realize that this thing is about 10, 15 feet away from you. And in order to access it or get closer, you'd have to get to the water, and the water's about halfway up through the door. But as you approach there, give me... oh, you don't even have to give me a check. You will see something. Now, I'm going to have to swap between, until you guys are all kind of up close, I might swap a bit between maps. It's mostly for Andy to know. But that... So, up here, this section here, right? I'm going to show you a close-up of this section, okay?
I mean, unless you told us not to, we might... I assume we'd follow you.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm walking and I know like a trail like beyond the water, you know, kind of motioning to follow along as I'm explaining. Well, the one in my country was white and gold, and this one looks rather blue. But
so as you approach, then sorry, I'm totally sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, you're good.
It sounded like you were done or like you were trailing off, so I jumped in. Do you want to continue your thought?
No. It was all kind of like I'm talking and speaking and kind of motioning. If I know it's safe, then I will kind of motion them to come closer. If I know it's safe.
Everyone that moves up, please give me an evade roll.
If you don't have that skill, what do you do?
If you don't have that skill, you have that skill. You have all the skills, except that if you don't have the skill per se, then you roll. In this case, if you look at the Dragonbane cheat sheet, what's your If you look at the Dragonbane cheat sheet, you see that the skill evade is on agility. And so you would roll based on your attributes. What's your agility?
7.
Right. So you have a base chance of 4. So you have to roll under 4.
Okay.
Now, before you roll, and I'm not saying this specifically about this roll, it's just because I want to remind you guys, because we were just talking about it. Everyone has one advantage. Every game, everyone has one advantage. I'm not saying this because you really have to use it now. It's really just I wanted to remind you, you all have an advantage. Every game you get a new one, so you have that there. But yeah, so go ahead. You have to roll under 4.
I don't think I'd use it here. I'm just sort of picking his way through. Nope, that's an 18. I have such mixed feelings about these dice.
Out of curiosity, do I still have I got one from Pixie Lady last week. Do I still have that one?
If you didn't use it, you still have it, yeah.
Okay. I will go ahead and use the one then for today. Because I failed that roll. 1 second. Better. So originally I had 11 over 10. Now I have 6 under 10.
All right. And for future reference, and I think this happened last game also, but for future reference, I want you guys to spend your advantages on the roll before you roll. Like, if you decide to spend an advantage, you spend it, you roll with an advantage. You roll with a boon, and it's not a reroll thing later. So just for future reference. So then you're okay, but as you're sort of making your way through, Amlot's foot slips at some point, and you kind of do a bit of the split, and you fall down, and you end up hands down and almost face down in one of the black plants that borders the entire area. Would you
also, Olo, you were just gifted an advantage from Forest Sight in the chat. Just
God bless you for that pity. I really appreciate it, and I will absolutely use it further down. I'm sure I'll have to.
Well, I will, since I just gave Miko the okay to use that, I will allow you to use it here if you want. Although I'm not sure that at trying to roll under a 4, it's probably just a waste. But
do they? So I've got 2 now to use. It doesn't replace one. Yeah, okay, I'll save them. Thank you very much.
I'll give you, since I just gave it to Miko.
No, I think I'm
could I give him like an advantage or system if I like reach out my staff for him to grab, like to kind of get him out of there?
You can give someone assistance, but it would have to have been like
before,
prior to him falling.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be an ass here, but it just
no, totally fair. I think Amloth just stacks it.
So you drop down and like your hands fall right in one of these things, and the second your hands get in it, you feel like a bunch of tiny needles pricking into your skin. And right away you can feel like this weird sort of burning sensation on your skin. And I would ask, so the way poison works in this game is that...
So subtle. I love it.
I make the roll, all right? And it's an opposed roll between the potency of the poison and your constitution. So what's going to happen is that we're both going to roll, and whichever one of us gets the biggest difference as far as rolling below wins the opposed roll. So you make a con check. So you roll your d20 and you're trying to get under your con.
All right.
And I roll for the poison and I try to get under the potency of the poison. And whichever one has the biggest margin.
Okay. This one I will use an advantage on. Thank you, Forest Sight. So 10 is the lowest roll of the game so far, and 5.
Hey,
all right,
there it is.
Excellent.
Thank you, chat.
5 under.
No, that is 5 under 15.
Okay,
Nice.
so you feel these pricks coming in, and you kind of feel a little bit wonky, like you there's like a burning sensation, but you kind of pull away in time, and right away, like someone has seen you do this, and you're like this, and someone comes over, maybe there or something with like, some fresh water or some booze or something, and you kind of clean off your hands right away, and you kind of think that you've probably got most of it. Do you feel a little bit of a numbing kind of sensation? You feel a little lightheaded, but nothing too.
I can play the harp with both hands. That's fine. Thank you, Dara.
It's fine. We can. If it gets any worse, let me know. There's things we might be able to try.
All right, lead on, Master Jumbie.
So that you know, there's enough of these plants that whenever you move a significant distance, you have to make an evade check again in order to miss them. But now that you know and are aware, you can do them with advantage.
Beautiful.
All right. So you find yourselves on the edge of this, and you're staring at now taking a closer look at this thing atop the door. So there appears to be the circular thing is there, and the thing that's inside of it looks like it probably moves. There's grooves in it, and there was once some glass or crystal over it, but now it's shattered, and you can tell there's a little bit of water sort of down here. There's like a little bit of a residual of water down here in this wheel. Okay. As far as you checking it out, Idolo, you have seen something similar to this. So you've seen a similar lock mechanism on the tower in Karth. Mm-hmm. When you saw it, there were a couple differences. One, the colors on those gems were different. In that the ones that you saw were gold, dark violet, black, and translucent. And the gold and dark violet were on either side. The gold was at the top, the dark violet was at the bottom, and then the black and translucent were on either side. Here, of course, the blue at the top, then the green, the red at the bottom, and then this sort of clear white one. It is not the same as the translucent one you saw in the other tower.
What was in the center, the one I saw?
It was a very similar mechanism. The glass or whatever, the sort of protective cover that was over it was not shattered in yours, and it was filled with sand.
Sand. And this one was filled with water.
Yeah.
So just trying to understand what I'm looking at. It looks like it was full of water and would somehow turn that wheel within it. Yeah. Is that what that looks like? That looks like a wheel that if pressure was put on it would turn.
And anyone who has crafting can make a crafting roll.
That would be me.
The other difference, Adrian, is that the ones you saw were dead. There were clearly no power in it.
Right.
There was nothing here. There's like a little bit of power, like they're humming, and there's a little bit of light in it. It seems very, very weak, but there's clearly power in them. Whereas the one in Ashket had nothing. It was dead.
So what happens when you roll a 20?
You get, all right, so that's a demon. So something usually pretty bad happens. It's critical failure. So as you look at this, Dara, you...
ironically, the thing that he is most good at in this world.
Yeah.
the demon.
You take a look at this, and you just can't figure out, there is no way for the water to come in there, because when you kind of, from where you are, because you are like 15 feet away from this, because I'm assuming you're still on the edge of the, you let me know if ever you're going to water downstairs. You're about 15 feet away, so from where you are, like this thing, aside from where the glass is broken, looks like it was fairly hermetic. Like there was nothing, you don't see a way for water to have been able to have been inserted in this thing.
Is that does that appear to be a socket in the middle?
No, it just looks like it's part of the design. It doesn't appear to be.
So this here doesn't look like a gem this size.
No,
in it.
No, I'm sorry. I know it kind of looks like down the.
No, totally cool. Just checking that. Yeah. Okay.
No, it looks like a giant screw that's holding the sort of.
Got it. So nothing appears to be missing from the middle.
No.
Okay.
Miko, you'd have to get closer to get another shot at it with crafting. Like from 15 feet where you are, it's just too difficult to really get it.
I think in this case, I am no longer attempting to do anything with figuring out how it works. So one of the functions of my Master Carpenter heroic ability is to be able to more easily damage inanimate objects. And so I think at this point, I'm trying to size it up to like break it even more to potentially see if I can, break open the door. I think based on that failure, he no longer wants it to work. He wants to break down the door.
You're thinking it's probably going to be an undertaking that is, let me put it this way, it's very, very uncertain results. Like, there is nothing about the construction of this or the materials of it that you recognize. So anything you would normally look for, like, where are some joints, where is, looks like something that might be a weakness, like you can't tell. Like, this looks completely alien to you. There's even the materials, you're like, I have no clue what this is.
I was going to ask, is there anything about the architecture or the designs involved that is at all familiar? Anything from any story, from any nation I've traveled through?
Only did you see the, I don't remember if we'd established that you'd seen the one in Karth.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen the monolith there, no, I don't think. Unless it was there a decade ago.
Sort of the same thing. I will, however, as both of you are sort of staring at this thing kind of intently, I will allow you, and same thing with Adolo, since you're also kind of checking it, I'll allow you guys to do a spot hidden.
I think I'm gonna, even though I'm gonna base it on the fact that I rolled the shit roll from before. I don't think Dara is focused enough to be able to spot a hidden.
Okay.
I think he's too distracted by the construction and trying to figure out how to break it.
Ha! Ha ha ha! There it is. Nat 1.
Nat 1.
That is a dragon.
Right.
Correct? Yes. Okay.
That's pretty awesome.
Here are the rolls. Here are the rolls.
There they are. I don't know what you did to your dice in between during the break, but
they listened. They listened.
You see, those things here, right on the side.
Mm-hmm.
On either side of them, there is, on one side, there is what looks like a blue, like the head of a nail maybe, or something like that, that is kind of sticking in it. On the other side, at the exact same place, there is a hole. Like maybe that part is missing. And when you, with your dragon, the second you look at it, I don't remember if it was you who went to the store or not in the town.
I did, yeah.
That blue crystal pin, like it's exactly that. Like your dragon's like, bam, that goes in there.
Well, boys. The bards come through good. And I produce this golf tee shaped object from my pocket.
Dara, in complete frustration, at probably the least put together moment that any of you have seen him, just turns to look at you and says, "What the fuck is that for?"
I have no idea. Let's find out. And I want to walk up the doorway. Is it reachable, or do I need a boost from someone?
No, you're going to need to get in the water.
Okay, how?
Or unless, so there's like a 7 or 8 foot drop to the water, and then the door is about 15 feet away from you. So you got to get there.
Got it.
However you want to do it is up to you. Certainly getting in the water and then getting some sort of boost or climbing on this thing is one way to go about it. There may be other options. Up to you.
Okay.
Do you tell Dara what you're intending? He'll
absolutely
get in the water and assist and boost you up. Because I'm pretty sure Dara is the strongest amongst everyone physically.
Is this water the same sort of brackish, oozing, covered water that we've seen before, or is this clearer? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not feeling too strong about going into that myself.
It's got the oozy stuff that we had seen previously.
Yeah, it's pretty thick here too.
Well, we may not have to. Although, if you would allow me, I can get you to the other side without you touching the water.
Do I get to fly on the frisbee now?
No, you do not. But I can make you fly on your own, so to speak. Well, float, really. You can't fly, but you would be able to levitate, so to speak, so you can get across without having to touch the water. I must concentrate, and I must concentrate on you, and you focus on opening the door, but as long as I keep my focus, I will keep you in the air.
Sounds much more fun. Let's do that.
Leap of faith. Stand on the edge.
Oh, I don't want to leap anywhere. You said you'd float me.
I will. Trust me. Just allow me to focus.
All right.
I will
in the air.
do a gesture and say the magical word to ask the wind to float this person. This allows me to levitate another person or object up to human size and let it float up to 6 meters in any direction.
Okay.
I'm just like using the force and doing some baby Grogu and just...
Well, are you going to be able to bring me back?
Who said anything about getting back? Everyone knew this was a one-way trip.
So you managed to, and there's a little bit of a ledge on the other side. So when you get to the other side, you can kind of put your feet down. It's not very wide, but it's enough that you can sort of stand there.
All right.
Dara?
Yeah, while that's happening, while he's doing the whole levitating over thing, I think Dara gets Atla to hand him the lantern, and he's going to light it and kind of move it down towards the water and see if there's any reaction from the, oily bits of the water, kind of like how we had done the experiment.
Yeah, so when you do that, that does happen. You bring it in, you can see it slowly kind of just sort of disperse. And as soon as it does, you can see long, red, sinuous bodies moving underneath that in the water.
Right then.
This is basically what you see in the water.
What is... Oh, God.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks...
Yeah. Lovely. Tasty. Just put them on skewers and roast them over a fire, I guess.
You remember...
I don't have to focus. It says duration is stretch, whatever stretch means.
Stretch is I'll tell you exactly what stretch is. You do remember the stories that the healer told you about people had gotten bit by lamprey type things here, and so you assume that those are what those are. A stretch is 15 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So you float across, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, arrive on the ledge and pull the peg out and just say, "Ulf, my friend, let's see how you join the song." And I push it into the hole in the wall.
All right, and so I didn't describe it properly the first time. The two pins are on the same side. So like on one side there's no holes and no pins, and on the other side there was a pin and a hole.
Got it.
When you put it in, it really locks tight, kind of that trough there, that sort of area here is kind of a trough, right, on both sides. It's kind of like if you took like a tube and you cut it in half. All right, so it's kind of like a trough, and when you put that in there, the two pins, it really kind of blocks it off completely. And you can see that the pieces here on either side, those things have like, and the only thing you're reminded of is of a watermill. They have like these little teeth that protrude like all along it on one side and then on the other.
But nothing starts moving.
No.
I got something. It's not much, but it's not nothing.
Well, something's supposed to happen.
I'm not really sure. It was a little more anticlimactic than I was hoping. I said a cool thing and everything. Ulf, you bastard. We've got it. So how big is these gaps? Can I kind of, can I get a hand in there? Is it that big?
The gaps of?
The sort of outer blue.
Like between the teeth?
So these are teeth here. It's not behind.
So imagine, how would I describe it? Imagine if you were to take, if you were to take a cog wheel.
Yeah.
And you were to unsnap it and kind of make a straight line out of it.
Totally. I got that, but it was whether I could. It was whether it was behind like a guard or something.
There is a guard.
Okay.
There is a guard so that you couldn't see them from where you were. Now that you're up close, you can see that they're inside. Okay. And it looks like there's some on either side so that they would move up or down, whatever. And there's the same thing on the other side, but the other side, so they're on either side of the trough. And on the other side, there's nothing. But when you put the two pins, it really kind of, with two teeth, it really makes like a seal.
Okay. I just very briefly, I tried taking out the other pin.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of work, but you manage to pull it out.
Nothing changes?
Very similar to the first one, yeah.
Okay, put it back in. We've got a kind of water wheel system here, but I got no source of power.
Pull both pins and see what happens.
Both pins.
All right, make a death save. No, okay.
Yes.
You pull both pins, nothing happens except that now the trough is completely open.
And then there's no holes on the other side.
No.
Are there any holes anywhere besides here?
No.
Yeah, up this close, is there any writing or any sort of system of anything to indicate?
No. Do you have crafting?
I don't. I think we got to get this thing going.
I mean, you can try a crafting roll anyways. You're just gonna have it's just gonna be difficult.
I don't even know what I'd try and craft.
No, but so you can use any skill in the game, right? So crafting is on your strength, oddly enough.
Okay.
So you could make a check on your strength if you wanted, but
so I've got strength 10. So this would be it.
You'd have to roll under a 5.
Yeah. Okay. So nope. The 12 over 5. Any thoughts, Master Data?
So because of what he's described now, Miko, I'm happy to give you a reroll on your craft if you think that Dara's calmed down enough to sort of take in the information that he's gotten and try to figure it out.
One further question. Now I'm right up close. Does this golden wheel look like it can turn? Does this look like a mechanism, or does this look like it does?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I give it a shift? Can I, am I strong enough to turn it myself?
No.
Something can turn this. Not me, though.
Are the colors symbol for something? Is some sort Dara, you're more of an elemental master here. Are these representative of any elements? In my land, the one that I saw, it was gold and violets, black and translucent, and these are obviously different. So perhaps they're activated somehow with some sort of...
I think it has to do with the water. I got a 13 under 15.
Okay. So with that and with what Amoth has described, you understand the mechanism is that there would have been some way, shape, or form, perhaps magical or through some energy, that the water would be sucked out of the place where you are, go up along one trough, and then go through the wheel, and then go down the other trough. But with the plugs in, it would stop, and so it would fill up. And then that would keep, once the wheel had started, that would bring enough weight on it eventually to get that wheel moving. How that works beyond that, you don't know, but that would be the mechanics of this system. With the glass broken, the water can't stay there now, so it would go up and then flow out of that broken glass rather than go down there and then stack up.
Right.
I will also say that you get a feeling that it's mechanical as much as it is a question of water, like specifically water like water's the source of energy, basically. So it's mechanical, but it's also the water activates the mechanics of it, but also provides energy just by being water.
Okay. Short of some way of fixing that glass, I'm not sure entirely how we get past.
Is there any other kind of where I am? Does the ledge go around the side of the monolith?
It would be difficult. You could go a little ways for sure.
Enough to look around the side?
Sure.
Does it look like? Is it?
I'll have you make me a. Is there any sort of acrobatics?
I do not.
So you're looking at it and you're like, probably a bad idea. However, I'll say there's still some time on the levitate, so theoretically you could kind of just push yourself along.
Yeah, if I can just spacewalk.
Yeah,
kind of
you could do that.
in the corner.
You'll get around, and the rest of the building is sort of like this one, minus the door and everything else.
To smooth brick.
Yeah. Well, there's that little sort of wraparound thing.
Yeah. How long do I have left on the timer? Would I be able to? Could I quickly just? Could I?
Yeah, you could go
myself?
around.
Yeah. Could I do a full 4 sides of it?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. There's nothing else that kind of stands out that's
Nothing.
different than what you've seen here.
No other way in that I can spot on the way back round. I'd like to come back at some point, Master Jumbie, before I have to swim.
Just head this way. Head this way.
When I've got a couple of minutes, when I've got about 30 seconds, minute left, just push off the wall and drift back.
So, Miko, whatever would hold the water would only have to be like a short amount of time. It wouldn't have to hold it forever, right? Like the glass thing.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be long enough for the thing to fill up, basically, and then you would need some sort of way to get the water up there.
You could try and sacrifice one of the tents.
Well, I was actually just thinking, do I have any sense, and this is just because I personally don't have a full understanding of their benefits, is there any way I could use my water rune lock as a way to power this device?
You'd have to try it. Like,
that's not a no.
It makes sense to you.
Okay. And how tall did you say that this mechanism is off the ground?
Off the ground, like from where the water is, sort of thing, is about 10, 12 feet up.
Okay. I am going to use my magic to summon a pillar that I can basically jump onto and then raise up to stand at its height so that I can attempt to work using my rune lock.
So as you summon the pillar, it comes up, and on top of it, as soon as the pillar comes up, there's one of those lamprey things, and it kind of jumps up in the air, and it's coming right at you, and then a dagger just comes out and skewers it and takes it away. And then your brother's like, every time.
Thank you, Atla.
Get my dagger back if you can.
Right.
Is your rune lock, what's the element on your rune lock?
I have 2. One is air, electricity, or air, and one is water.
Okay. So you summon the pillar, and then it's close enough for you to kind of hop on it, and then stand close enough to the thing. And as you approach it now and see the mechanism close, you totally understand that that's how it works, and that really it just needs like a good chunk of water specifically to get that wheel moving and to activate it. And it probably doesn't need to go very far, because with that trough blocked, it wouldn't keep circulating, and that's kind of the whole point of it, that the water rises and then fills out this thing, and then...
Yeah, I think I'm just going to attempt to use my engineering abilities and fasten the rune lock and then tap it with Skyforger.
Okay, well, you don't even have to make a roll. It's an excellent idea. So you put it in there and you find a way to kind of, lock it in place. That little hole that Almoth was worried about earlier was a thing for a gem. Kind of fits it just perfectly. And you go ahead and you tap it with Skyforger. As you do, this explosion of water erupts from it, And Dara, you watch it in amazement as it explodes out, but then before it really kind of grows, it's totally like kind of sucked back into this. And as the water fills this thing, the wheel turns 1/2 turn like this. And as it does, the gem, the blue gem at the top, lights up. And as the water now starts to spill down on the side of the troughs, as the storm that's raging is kind of completely locked in there, it's kind of like you summon this water storm, and there's like a force that's just keeping it there. And as it's roiling in there and kind of charging, you can see the blue gem start to glow more and more and more, and eventually you hear a distinct thonk, 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 thonk inside the door. And eventually the water ends, the storm ends from the rune lock, and the water runs down the trough. And if the 2 pins are there, it kind of stays there, and then it overflows out of where the glass is.
It work?
I'm not entirely sure. I try to see if the door will open.
You grab the door, and your pillar's in the way, unfortunately, right now, but you definitely very easily pull it. And when you touch it, it's really weird because you can tell that it's solid metal or some sort of material. But when you touch it, it feels like you're grabbing onto water, but it's got weight to it, and it's got mass, and it's still solid, but it kind of feels like water, but it's solid. It's very strange feeling. And you realize that you could open it. Right now, your pillar's there, but you could.
My pillar only lasts a shift, so I will hop down onto the ledge beside where.
And when you do that, you open it, and the water in the lake kind of washes inside, and the smell of like this wet, like a room that's been wet and not dried out, just kind of wafts out, and you get that really kind of, there's probably fucking rot in here somewhere, but it just sort of wafts out, and it's completely dark inside. But now the door is, one of the 2 panels is open, and the water's kind of flooding in for a while, and then it stops.
Bravo, Master Dara! Bravo! My God, what is that smell? Oh, God.
That's the smell of victory.
God. Is it? No. I'd be fine with just 1 or 2 losses then, thanks.
Oh.
I will
never
give
had
each
to
of you
force march with a pack of Dvarg before, have you?
I will give each of you an advantage point for having solved the lock of the door. And now the blue gem is glowing, and the others are not.
Okay.
Or they're
as
not
it
more
is
than
open,
they were before.
And as my companions are trying to figure out how they are going to navigate the water situation with the
well, you notice
lamp.
something. The lampreys are not going in. Like they're swimming in against the current, and then once the current stops, they kind of swim away from the door.
Does the water ever stop?
I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It stops at some point.
Okay.
It kind of levels out, yeah.
Right. Well, while my companions are making their way over, I think I'm going to attempt to take a look at the door's construction and figure out some way of wedging it open, or like removing a hinge or something like that can keep it in such a way that we could use it to escape, and it can't just automatically lock on us if possible.
So I will tell you that there's no hinge. It's a very strange construction where everything appears to flow into the next part. Could you wedge it? I will ask you to give me a crafting roll, and we'll see what you come up with.
Right. Just because I think that this is important, I'm going to use an advantage.
Okay.
That's a 2 under 15.
Excellent. So you see no reason why putting something, whether, but you would have to put something to physically prevent the door from coming back. There's nothing kind of to wedge. Like even where the door kind of swings open, it's still smooth. There's no crack. The door is of one piece with the rest of the building. It's really like you're peeling back, a piece of leather or something. There's no thing there. So it would have to physically be something that would be there.
Can I?
The humanity.
Can I yell at Atla to throw me his crowbar?
Yeah. Okay. Ilsai will throw you his crowbar.
I will take his crowbar and use Skyforger to hammer it as hard down into a wedge as I can.
Okay, and you find that hammering into the building doesn't work, but you can hammer it into the ground,
Right, that's what I meant.
itself. Yeah, and now that the water has kind of gone in, the level has gone low enough that you can do that, and the lampreys are staying far enough from the door that they're not a problem. But you manage to sort of wedge it like this, and when the door comes back, it hits on it.
Perfect. And I marked that on Scoozy's character sheet that I stole it.
Pitch fucking dark in here. There's a sliver of light from where the door is open, but otherwise, it is
I'm
dark.
assuming I handed the lit lantern off to Idolo.
I'll attach it to my staff. What exactly, do we know what we're looking for in this? Or are we...
No fucking clue.
I don't think anyone's ever been in one of these.
Given half a chance to plant these seeds, we can hopefully, fingers crossed, drain the corruption from this land and pull this monolith down.
Where
would
would be
some pretty powerful fucking trees to pull this thing down, my friend.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that someone has been inside this, because this didn't just birth itself out of the ground. Somebody had to make this.
It was me in Inkarnate.
If you talk to some of the trees in the Sky Orchard, my friend, you'd know that there's some pretty powerful plants out there.
So you step inside?
Yes. What does the inside look like?
You step inside. Do you have means of light? You have the lantern and whatnot?
Yes.
Okay.
Lantern.
When you step inside, you find that the floor is of some sort of tile, but it is like the entire floor is one gigantic tile. There's no seams anywhere. It's not like a bunch of little tiles. It looks like one sort of gigantic tile. The walls themselves are made of a bronze type metal. It looks like everything is curved. Everything's got all the engravings and everything else. Everything is very sort of smooth and fluid and sort of curves. Everything from the design to the materials appears very alien and very different. And it's very strange because you're not underwater, though there's about maybe a foot of water in here that you're standing in. You feel almost like you're underwater, like you feel the weight of it on top of you. The air is very, very humid and dank. And the walls are always feel like they're wet, although they're not. Like when you touch them, you really feel like there's some water there, but when you look at your gloves or your fingers, there's none of it. This place feels excessively alien, excessively ancient.
Can I roll a myths and legends about, have I heard of anything regarding bronze walls and misty rock, anything that would...
Go ahead.
I got, if you get the same number, is it a success? I got 14 and 14.
You meet, you're good. So in Karth, at some point there was a race called the Aesir, and the Aesir, who are said to have birthed the Eldrin. The Aesir were an extremely magical race. They lived in Karth at a time where supposedly the land was a lush green paradise. And the mention you've heard of something that would kind of resemble this is a description of some of the ruins. So along the mountain, there are ruins of the ancient cities of the Aesir, and in some of those, there are still Aesir that live there, though they live really they don't interact at all with the world. They're called the Ansheka now. And they still live in those ruins that are partially underground or kind of built in the mountains and whatnot. And the people that have had the opportunity to go there, because they do some trade occasionally, speak of things of this nature, like long winding walls that seem to be made of bronze or copper, things of that nature. the description of them is not exactly like this, like with the sort of, waterish, liquidish kind of aspect of it. But the description you've heard of those places does feel kind of same, ancient and alien. But that color specifically for these walls, you recall a few people mentioning things like that.
Well, I will just mutter to myself that, recollecting these thoughts, that they remind me of tales of the ruins of my ass hair. Yes. Makes no sense.
Can I get an understanding of how pure the water is? Is it brackish and oily like the...
And here it is
encountered
completely
outside?
Clean. Completely clean. The filth stays outside, doesn't seem to be crawling into here, and where you're standing, it looks nice and limpid.
Is there any we've just passed underneath, a fairly advanced mechanism? Is there any sound of activity or machinery in here, or is it?
There's a deep humming that you can kind of feel throughout the building. There's a definite sense of power, of energy, but very latent, very kind of dormant, I would say, more than latent. Like you get the feeling of walking into a place where, there would be a big machine that's just sort of waiting to be used or something to that effect. There's nothing. There's no chairs or debris, or there's literally nothing other than that. But you do feel that kind of vibration, that humming, and you do feel that kind of magical energy that's permeating the place, like a miasma.
I want to just walk forward. Miasmatic.
I think Dara would, in testing out the water, actually take a drink of it, cup some in his hand and sip from it.
Here comes the death save.
And as he does, he starts coughing and goes, "My asthma is getting the better of me."
I'm out. That's it. I'm out. I'm done.
Shock, another win for the big guy.
Psychic damage is real. And
it tastes fine. Like, not great. Like, it's not like, ooh,
like New York water.
Yeah, like if you were in New York and you were to drink some of that hot dog water, and no, it tastes just like, random pond water basically, but good.
Okay.
I think Amloth wants to just put one hand on the wall and start to walk forward, tracing it round, staying within the lamplight, like not getting too far ahead of people, but just trying to take in the whole place.
As you walk forward and sort of follow the curve of the wall, you see a sconce of light a little bit further that does shed a little bit of illumination in the area ahead. The light themselves are kind of strange. They look to be like a metal tubing that comes out and the two ends glow, and the light is very soft and you wouldn't be able to, read a book or anything by it, but it's enough to sort of see around. As you come around the corner, you will see a couple of things of interest. One, there appears to be, I don't know if you move forward, but you can. There's nothing that's gonna...
Yeah. Is there a visible flame in the light?
No, it's really kind of like the bar itself is glowing, or the end.
Dara's not going to let Amloth get too far ahead, by the way.
I'm not going to try and get too far ahead, yeah.
Ahead of you, over here, you see a shimmering wall that looks like nothing else that's in here, and it literally looks like there's a waterfall there, but there's nowhere for it to come from or to go. It's just this kind of like solid sheet of water that's just kind of undulating and blocking the entire way over here. And then around here, what you can kind of see here is what looks like glass, or at least some sort of, it blocks, again, sort of the entire entrance. It looks like an entrance to a room or something. And it looks like something that's, translucent that you could see through.
You all right there, Mr. Amloth?
Got some rather puzzling features around here, boys. You're going to want to see this.
We'll start to walk up. As I walk up, have you found the backside of water?
I'm ignoring you, Master Jumbie.
Anybody? Jungle Cruise? Oh, never mind.
I don't think I saw that play.
Does the water look like it's moving at pressure? Like if you were to put a finger in it, would it hurt?
Yeah, in the wall there?
Yeah.
No, it looks like it's just hanging there, like a curtain made of water.
I'm going to tentatively just sort of push the tip of my staff through it.
It stops almost immediately. It kind of just gets in a little bit, and then it can't go any further.
Huh.
What is on the far wall? Those 5.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought that was the double yellow waterfall.
No, the double yellow thing is the light.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the waterfall. Sorry.
Wow, Idolo just lost. He's just like considering his ass hair, and he's just completely lost.
Master Dada, one of your elements is misbehaving again, and I tap the water.
That have a tendency to do that sort of thing.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, Dara's going to step forward. As he's moving past, he's going to glance in the direction of the glass that you had mentioned. Can you see through the glass, or is it opaque?
Yeah, you can see through the glass, and what you see is, I want you to take your token and move it exactly where you go when you look inside.
So, yep.
I want to see if the laser beam's going to reach you.
Okay, so I'm walking past this way.
So you see on the floor there seems to be a ring of like blue light that's kind of spinning, but there's nothing else. It's just like kind of a dark little, nook, and there's that sort of blue light, almost kind of like mystical light that's swirling on the ground.
Okay. I won't pay it any mind yet. Wait, wouldn't Amloth have had to have moved through this area too?
Oh yeah, I would be over here.
Yeah, but he didn't say that he was trying to look through the glass.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was just moving up on him.
So as I come over, standing next to Amloth, I will investigate this curtain of water more closely. Skyforger, obviously, at the ready, but try and ascertain what type of elemental magic would do this.
So, give me an elementalism roll.
I will do that. And I will roll it with my last remaining advantage.
Okay.
That is a 3 under 14.
Hey, yeah.
Nice. It is it is basically a magical wall of water. It's a wall of water. Getting through it would require it to be dispelled or something of that nature.
Right.
The machinery outside isn't still spinning, is it?
No.
So it's not like. So
no, and it seems out of place for here. Like there's nothing else like it in here. Mm-hmm. It seems very kind of out of place and different.
Okay. This seems like something that we're not getting past so easily just yet, unless Master Jumbie, you've got some kind of capacity for dispellation that you haven't been telling anyone about.
Unfortunately, no. The light source in this room, is it being reflected on the water or the glass?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Idolo will go towards the glass and just examine the glass itself.
As you approach it, you see light inside flare to life as you get close to the glass from where this was, and you see an image appear of a woman and what looks like a man, perhaps, but they're sort of the best way to describe them are kind of like holographic images, like they're kind of ghostly sort of light images that arise.
My friends, check this out. Look, gaze upon the glass.
You see a figure of undiscernible gender that appears to be red, and another one that is very obviously a woman, coming close to each other, holding hands, and then the figure in red reaches down and pulls a crown out and puts it on the head of the female. Do you hear, as that happens, you hear a voice speaking, and it's kind of muffled because it's speaking behind the glass, but anyone who's around there can make a languages roll to see if you pick up or understand any of it.
I would like to use one of my advantages for this.
I got a 5 under 14.
I got an 8 under a 12.
All right. You hear both of you have, luckily enough, picked up along the way a little bit of a language of the Aesir, and while this is not that language, it shares some common words, and you kind of understand what is being said. What is being said is, water is the blood of the earth. Blood is the water of the body. Sangra was Undine's first lover, and marked their union with a crown. Do you need me to repeat?
Yes, one more time, please.
Water is the blood of the earth. Blood is the water of the body. Sangra was Undine's first lover, and marked their union with a crown.
How are you spelling that second name, please?
Undine, Undine.
Cool. As that is said, do any of those... I'd love to do a sort of myths and legends check to know if any of either of those names ping for me, if possible.
Okay.
Nope, 17. Do those figures, do they stay there, or does this sort of...
Yeah, as long as you're there, the entire action sort of repeats. If you move away at some point, it...
Do either of you translate that for Dara?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yes, I think we're I figured that I would get the first half, get the second half. We kind of put it together, and you make the entire phrase.
Yeah,
out loud.
Does Undine mean anything to me in the elementalism space?
Roll a myths and legends.
Okay.
Actually, roll an elementalism, I should say.
That's a 1.
All right.
Hey.
There is, at higher levels of elementalism, you can summon a type of water spirit that is called an Undine. Now, whether or not this is the same reference or one's named after the other or something, but it is a very powerful water spirit.
That's interesting. That looks ritualistic to me. Why would they be referencing a water spirit in such ways?
While they're talking, Amleth has an idea, and he's not even going to verbalize it because he's not sure if it's incredibly stupid. While they're talking, he'll just wander back to the curtain of water.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I totally missed this. Totally absurd. I totally missed the raid by Lord Gazumba. Yeah. Sorry. I was totally absorbed in what was going on. Thank you so much for the raid, guys. Totally missed it. Sorry. No one's watching the chat for me. I super appreciate you all. Thank you for
also got raided by the Games Tavern earlier.
Oh, man. Someone's got to tell me those things because I don't watch the chat when I'm GMing. Thank you so much, everyone. We super appreciate everyone. I will make sure to make note of this and get back to you. We are in a strange monolith as they're attempting to figure out exactly what's making the elements go wonky and create these weird sort of elemental shatter storms that are rampaging throughout the country now. They've entered one of these monoliths and are trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Apologize for missing it, for missing your raids. I super appreciate all of you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
While they're musing at the door, Amlot's not going to make a big deal of this because he's not sure if it's dumb or not. But he's just going to walk back to the curtain of water, take out a knife, and just gently cut his palm and put it on the water so that the blood runs into it.
That was a very, very cool idea. Unfortunately, it doesn't affect this, but it was actually it was good enough and interesting enough that I will give you an advantage point.
You're very kind. I think when that doesn't happen, Amulet is just like, okay, and comes back to the group, and you haven't actually noticed that he's gone. That was just whole, like, I just wonder.
Just wanted to go check. Now, when we looked into the glass and saw the vision of the red person and the lady, while we were looking in the glass, did we at the same time is this reflective at all? Can we see ourselves in the glass as well?
Yeah.
What happens if you stand in front of that lady, Master Jumpy?
And place a bloody crown on my head?
Take a crown, see what happens.
Like Simba. I don't know. What if we tried to take the place and like get into the same position and tried to, maybe it's telling us how to open the door.
So I'm going to give you this. You kind of get the feeling, like I said, that the water wall is not of one with this place. It's a completely different thing. So you're kind of thinking it probably doesn't have a connection to, it's probably more a question of something else that's down here that made that.
Sure.
Rather than it being part of the protections of this thing. So you try a few things, but then you kind of figure that it's probably not connected.
But you were talking about the mirror door, right, Adrian?
Yes, the mirror door with the...
Oh, you wanted to open the mirror door?
Yes, I want to see...
Oh, that's what you were doing?
Yes. So...
When you do that, no. So then that doesn't open. Sorry, I thought we were talking about the water curtain wall. No. When you do that, it doesn't open. You could break it if you wanted. That's probably the thing.
Have we tried pushing it?
We haven't actually tried asking nicely.
You guys can do either crafting or spot hidden.
Spot hidden.
Nope. Another 19.
Got a 7.
I rolled a 19 as well.
I got a 7. What's my spot hidden? 17.
All right.
7 out of 17.
That's pretty good. So in that sort of round pillar there, near the... I didn't see the chat earlier because I was on my map. In this pillar here, you see like a part of it that looks like it's a panel maybe that like covers something. And then when you pull it open, you can sort of do that, and you can see like behind it there's like another sort of glass thing, and there's like a bit of a symbol, like some of the symbols you've seen like on the floor there and maybe on the door, that's sort of repeated, and it does have kind of a feel of some sort of magical or there's arcane energy that emanates from it.
I will point this out to the rest of the group. Aha! Progress.
Aha!
Progress indeed. Now what?
Is there one on the other bronze pillar on the other side?
No. It looks like you would press something against it maybe, or something like that.
Something with the same type of symbol, some sort of...
Think back to the first door. Like what was...
What sort of...
Like that pin?
Is it a pinhole?
No.
Water? Anyone?
I mean, you're standing in a foot of water, so if you want to do something with it, pick it up.
Are you
maybe the
holding it
water
right now?
from the waterfall.
Waterfall doesn't seem connected to any of this stuff.
How big is this thing?
It's like the size of like a light switch panel.
But not removable.
No.
I want to cup some water in my hands and splash it.
And when you do, the glass turns into water basically and just drops down at the bottom. And that line that you were hearing, the water is the blood of the earth, blood is the water of the body, Sangra was Undyne's first love, is now extremely loud as it bellows out through this entire place and reverberates through the walls. And you hear the distinct sound of a large, after a few moments, of a splashing sound, a very loud splashing sound coming behind you.
Look around the corner.
Hand on staff.
When you turn around and look, the water wall has disappeared, and standing behind it are a number of these fine fellows. Who look not at all happy to see a bunch of uninvited guests in their homes and brandishing spears with green-tipped jewels at the end, screaming loudly. They come charging at you. And that's where we'll end for tonight.
Hey. Oh, God. Just prolong the inevitable.
Just prolonging the inevitable. Well, you know, I was hoping it would take you longer to get here. You only get here in the 5th game, and then kill you in the 5th game, and then that'd be okay. But yes, thank you so much. Again, I apologize to the wonderful people who rated us for missing a raid. I was totally tabbed out and I missed it. We appreciate all of you. Dave, I'm sure tomorrow will write messages to everyone. Thank you to the people hanging out with us who have been watching us since the beginning. We super appreciate you. Sorry for the gremlins at the beginning that made us start about 10 minutes late. But we have traveled all the way to the monolith and have arrived here and have discovered the beings that live inside of it and solved a few puzzles along the way. Very good work, all of you. I would like to give my friends here a chance to quickly tell us who they are, what they're doing, where you can find them, and just to let them know I appreciate all of them very, very much. We'll start with the Miko.
Hi there. I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM. I produce things, run things, play things, GM things, do all kinds of things. Hit me up in the Discords or the Twitters if you're interested in talking or learning about any of those things. Links should be going out in the chat if they are not already. Yeah, and this has been a ton of fun. I can't wait for next week. This is only part 2, guys. We still have 3 more parts to go.
Yeah.
Long haul.
Do you think you'll survive that long? Thank you so much, Miko. It was absolutely awesome to see you fail that first crafting roll, because that was like that moment that your life had led you to that, and then you just wanted to break shit. So that was pretty awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. Adrian, tell us about you. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about what's going on.
Hi, my name is Adrian. I go under the Twitter handle Mr. Miasma. I'm just kidding. Now I go as at Sly Sparrow on Twitter and on Discord and every place else. So feel free to, reach out. And I like talking about tabletop role-playing games. I'm an actor producer all over the place, and I enjoy tabletop role-playing games, and I enjoy playing with all of these fine people. It's been a long time since I've played like a puzzle type kind of cerebral adventure, and I'm having so much fun just kind of being in the maze of my own puzzled mind of like what is happening. I love it. It's always a good break from the hack and slash type games or all those type of really fast pace. Sometimes it's good to have those kind of, thinking adventure, and I love it.
Cool.
Of course, I say that right before we start combats.
It's combat's going to happen at some point, but there's still plenty of puzzles ahead. I hope you're taking good notes of everything you see and hear, because all this is going to come back to haunt you later. Sure. Thank you so much, Adrian. I always appreciate you being out here in these games. Speaking of coming back to haunt you later, the man, the myth, the legend. In his own mind. Olo Clark, what's up? So still youthful and fresh faced. We're working on that. We're working on that.
I'll be looking like outlook by the end of this. Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching. I've been Olo Clark. I'm a actor, writer, DM, player, and I'm also the creative director over at Escape Plan Games. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JackBNimble42, and you can find Escape Plan at www.escapeplangames or at eplangames.com on the socials. I need to go away and have a word with my dice, because in 10 rolls, I rolled 3 18s and 2 19s, which would be fantastic if we were playing a different dragon-based D20 system. But as it is, we need to have a chat. So that's what I'm going to be doing during the week. We're going to go do a sort of Rocky-style montage.
And in Dragonbane, you have to roll low, so, you got to have a little chat with them. So that's our players. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out. I'm the Bleakseason. You can find me on Twitter. You can check out bleakseason.com for info about the Shadesong world and everything we're doing. I would like to thank Andy, our producer. I would like to thank everyone who hung out in chat, everyone who rated us, all the beautiful people. Hang out with us for a few minutes. We're going to raid a friend of ours, Allison at Insight Checked. They're playing a video game called Pentiment, which is actually super interesting. The art for it is very interesting. Give them a little bit of love when we come in there. Say hi. Maybe give them a follow. They are a small streamer like us who are just trying to, get by and make some friends. And they're very good people. So please give them some Guild Superior love. As for us, we have tomorrow, DM Dave and I are on Darling Creepshow's channel doing Cult, a very dark occult game. And Sunday, he'll be back here, Dave, with Mothership, doing a sci-fi horror RPG game. On Monday, we have the continuation of New Varden, Game Mr. Ty's New Varden game. I think it's going to be game 3 of 4. And of course, Tuesday, Greyhawk with DM Dave and the crew. Some classic Greyhawk adventuring. Tons of stuff going on. A lot of action. We keep it going. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are going to raid Insight Check. Thanks to everyone. I just posted you a message telling you who we're raiding. Andrew, do you have it? We're good? All right. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll be back here next Thursday with part 3 of the Wreckage of Stars. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to my players. Thanks to Andy. Catch y'all later.